has been strengthened, and there is no turning back at this point. We're just going to continue. Isaac, can you hear me? Yeah, I don't know what happened. The stream on Reggae Global is fine, but the stream on YouTube is not fine. But Kevin is doing stuff there.
Yeah, that happened to me this week. They said the stream from Reggae Global had no audio, and I don't know how that happened.
Okay, Rebel. So we're live again on YouTube. So we're back up on YouTube. The broadcast continues on Reggae Global Radio. Thank you for all the Reggae Global folk that have been listening in, those that have been listening on dual platforms. Thank you guys. Truly appreciate, love you. If you could get the word out, let people know, hey, listen, everything continues. Reggae Global Radio didn't leave us, and those who were more comfortable on YouTube, you can let people know to come back. But listen, here's the thing: you can always go to Reggae Global Radio, and the YouTube stream was to reach some people that didn't know that a Reggae Global Radio existed. If you go ahead and download the Reggae Global app, you'll at this time that you would get the normal broadcast for Reason with Rattigan, for Context Matters, for the Saturday Stew. These programs are all Reggae Global based programs, and which have a presence on YouTube. So that's how that goes. So feel free. In fact, I encourage it. Okay, I just got a message here from Reggae Global Management. I missed something. I missed something that was said. But yes, go ahead and get the Reggae Global app. Yeah, the live stream for ISAT on Thursday, that was on. But what was happening is that the guest was really low.
Okay.
But ISAT could be heard just fine. Just the guest was really low.
So that was a Kevin technical issue.
I got you.
Kevin didn't fix it. It's Kevin's fault. Kevin! Kevin there.
You never that's the problem. You never call me. But so, yes.
So Kevin, can we go back to the video now?
So I think it was Dread Dread's video that did it. Believe it or not. Or no, it wasn't Dread Dread's video. It was the corruption video that you were showing, because it had started, it was playing, and then there was a violation.
All right.
So I think it was that TED Talk, that TEDx video on corruption. But
let me play another one.
I would encourage is that you paraphrase what was said in that video, so that people will get an understanding. Because the story that we got up until the point of I'm thinking him yelping the restaurant, and what happens as a result of Yelp, the transparency that is there, because the restaurant also gets to know that they're being looked at. So where I think he was going with this, because I didn't listen to the full video, although he had sent it to me, I didn't do my homework. I don't know if I can get a demerit for that, but
you get a medal.
But where I think he was going with that is, if politicians were to really recognize that we, the voters, we, the people that these politicians are working for, we're actually paying attention to what they were doing. We're rating them based on what they did. And we would recommend whether they stayed or not based on those deliverables. Then they would probably act better. And they'll be more transparent, hence reducing the amount of corruption that exists. Now, I could be wrong. Rebel, please correct me if I am.
Exactly. It was just saying it's more about people holding government accountable, not just saying, but actually holding the government accountable, especially during the election season. So it's pretty much like what he was saying about Yelp, that it gives you information, but then it also gives you a rating. So he's saying we should become our own Yelps in terms of looking at politicians and their promises and their performances. And once you start doing that, which is something we've been preaching for quite some time. But let me play this other video. I don't think it's gonna stop this video. All right, here we go.
We're keeping our fingers and toes crossed for this one.
No, because we played this one before.
Okay.
Here we go.
Le quiero pedir en público de que investiguemos a todos.
All right, here we go.
Le quiero pedir en público de que investiguemos a todos los que están acá. Para atrás y para adelante. Yo me imagino que pues no hay ningún problema.
This one is the president of El Salvador. Let me just set this.
We should have Joanna Marie come on and translate.
Yeah. But what happened is he got the lawmakers in a room, all of them, and he announced there and then that he was going to ask the attorney general, who was separate and apart from in terms of his responsibilities, separate and apart from the rest of the politicians, and he asked them to investigate all of the politicians now and retroactively, because he said, I want you to go back because I don't want to be associated with any crooks. And that's the scene setter where he called all the lawmakers in, and he's making this announcement that, hey, I'm announcing right now that this guy, the attorney general, he's going to investigate every single one of you. Here we go.
But not only that, though, he included himself, Rebel.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Very important point.
Problema, ¿no? Como pueden ver ustedes, todos los que estamos aquí reunidos son parte del Ejecutivo, del órgano ejecutivo, que es el del cual yo estoy encargado, a excepción de una persona. Es el fiscal general que está aquí. Él no es del Ejecutivo. Y está acá por una razón bien sencilla. Y es porque le quiero pedir en público de que investiguemos a todos los que están acá. Para atrás y para adelante. Yo me imagino que pues no hay ningún problema, ¿no? Hay una persona que me dijo una vez, mire, ¿y tú no le temes a la muerte? Yo le dije, no, pues claro, nadie se quiere morir. Yo no me quiero morir, pero yo sé que me voy a morir algún día, como todos. Si hay algo que no se puede escapar es de la muerte. Todos los que estamos aquí pues en 100 años pues, no va a haber nadie vivo. Nadie. Ninguno de los que estamos aquí, lo más probable es que nadie sabe cómo se llama el papá del abuelo de uno. Pero hay algo que yo sí le tengo miedo, y es a dejar un mal legado. Y hay presidentes, unos presos, otros fugitivos, pero la mayoría son recordados como ladrones. Yo no quiero ser recordado como el ladrón. Entonces yo no robo, porque no quiero ser recordado como el ladrón o el corrupto. Pero hubo un presidente, el presidente Duarte, que la gente decía en ese entonces, el presidente no es ladrón, pero se rodeó de ladrones. Y en algún momento representó una esperanza para el pueblo salvadoreño. Pero si acaso es verdad que él no robó, qué tonto fue. Porque él era la esperanza del pueblo, no tocó un centavo y manchó su legado por rodearse de ladrones. Entonces a mí no me va a pasar eso. Yo no voy a ser el presidente que no robó, pero se rodeó de ladrones. Pero que me recuerden como el presidente que no robó y que no dejó que nadie robara. Y al que robó lo metió a la cárcel. Ya hay un par que ya están en la cárcel.
Lo que conocíamos como ese estado criminal paralelo que habían instaurado las pandillas terroristas en este país, básicamente está destruido. Ese estado criminal ya está destruido, y no solo destruido, ya está acusado formalmente.
What
Unmute. Oh,
did would probably never happen in Jamaica, where the prime minister would call in the cabinet and just say, "Hey, putting or one of the investigative agencies to investigate all of you retroactively in present." It probably won't happen, but in this case, it did. And as someone said in the video, this is how you lead. You lead by example. You lead by offering yourself up first and say, look, investigate me, and I want you to investigate everybody else, because I don't want to be associated with criminals. Now, having said that, let me show you something here. Share screen, window. Boom. Is this it? Okay, here we go. Let me just set the stage for this. The Prime Minister, the most honorable Holiness, asked the Premier Anti-Corruption Agency for training. I think it was in 2022. He said, I would like my cabinet, members of parliament, I'd like them to be trained on anti-corruption measures, all of these things, because we want to be in compliance with the Integrity Commission Act. And also, if you remember, he said that he wouldn't tolerate corruption in his administration. Now, he asked Mr. Christie for the training, and he received, when I say he, I'm talking about their cabinet, he received the training. And I want you to take a look at this letter dated November 15, 2022. It was addressed to the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, and also Mr. Mark Golding, MP, Leader of the Opposition, to both of them. And here's what it says. It says, I don't know if you can see it. It says, I'm writing to you, jointly to you, in furtherance of the series of anti-corruption and good governance workshops that were conducted for the benefit of the cabinet of the government of Jamaica, as well as for the benefit of the shadow cabinet. And that they received this training between November 9, 2020 and February 2021. That's the cabinet. And the shadow cabinet received it November 2021 to May 2022. And here's what Mr. Christie was asking the government to do, not the government and the opposition to do after receiving this training. He says, in a further effort to promote adherence to the highest standards of good governance and integrity on the part of those who discharge public functions and duties in Jamaica, the Integrity Commission is of the considered view that public bodies and officials to whom the Commission has administered its anti-corruption and good governance workshops should be asked to formally commit to the 7 principles of public life. It is in furtherance of that objective, therefore, that I now take pleasure in submitting to you for your review and formal subscription the attached leadership commitment document, and will look forward to your timely and positive response to the Commission's overture. Respectfully, Greg Christie. Now, see the date right there, November 15th. All right, let's go to the next document. By the way, here are some of the things that the training that they received. The problem of corruption, an overview of Jamaica's anti-corruption framework, principles of good governance and integrity in government, public office, and public life, public procurement overview, other critical areas involving the Integrity Commission's oversight, statutory declarations. They received training on that. Protective Disclosures Act, whistleblowing, reporting allegations of corruption, investigating allegations of corruption, prosecuting allegations of corruption, overview of corruption offenses in Jamaica, international best practices in anti-corruption and anti-bribery. This is laundry list of training they received, the workshops. They received all of these things. So somebody could ask, and why do we have any corruption being done in Jamaica by politicians after the training? It's human nature. It's human nature. And here it says, whereas the Prime Minister and his cabinet successfully completed participation in the associated workshops, and where the Prime Minister and his cabinet agree in principle to uphold the knowledge and philosophy imparted from the course and commit to upholding the 7 principles of public life in their dealings and interactions within and outside the public sector, that is the principles of, and here are the 7 principles: selflessness. What does that mean? You should act solely in terms of the public interest. You should not do so in order to gain financial or other material benefits for yourself, your family, or friends. That's selflessness. Next, integrity. What does it mean? You should not place yourself under any financial or other obligation to individuals or organizations that might seek to encourage improper behavior in the performance of your official duties. Objectivity means you carry out public business, including making public appointments, awarding contracts, or recommending individuals for rewards and benefits based on merit. Accountability. You must submit yourself to whatever scrutiny is appropriate to that office. Openness. Everything you do should be above and beyond reproach. You should give reasons for your decisions and restrict information only when the wider public interest clearly demands. Honesty. declare any private interest relating to the public duties, and take steps to resolve any conflicts arising in a way that protects the public interest. All about public interest, public interest, public interest. Leadership. Promote and support these principles by leadership and example. No, they were supposed to sign that. The Prime Minister was supposed to sign it. Wasn't signed. Here it is. Go back to this date. This date is November 15th, right? Then November 16th, the next day, the Integrity Commission asked the Prime Minister and the opposition leader to sign the leadership commitment to code of conduct. And again, here it is: selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, leadership. Now, you asked for the training, you received the training, and then for some reason you don't want to sign this document. And there's nothing tricky about this document. It's just saying you received training in these areas, and so we want you to sign to show your resolve in a meaningful way, in a demonstrable way. In a demonstrable way. Now, here is that this is November. That was 16th of November. Now, November 21st. Here we go.
And again, which year is this, Ratty?
22. Right?
2022.
Yes.
Okay.
And here, Mr. Christie goes into detail to talk about the history of this good governance and anti-corruption workshop series, as well as the 7 principles of public life. In fact, he says there are long-standing principles that have been advanced as underpinning conduct in public life and which warrant reaffirmation. The reference principles, which have been fully agreed to and endorsed by the commissioners of the Integrity Commission, were first advanced in the UK in 1995. They are documented in the first report of the Committee on Standards in Public Life in the House of Commons. And then he says right here, subject to the issue of the report on standards in public life, it must be noted that Jamaica on April 29, 2002, through the then Prime Minister, the Right Honorable P.J. Patterson, advanced Ministry Paper number 19, 2002, which says, informed by the conduct of ministers, which was informed by the code applicable to members of the government of the United Kingdom, and in particular, the recommendations of blah, 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 blah. So in 2002, here it is that former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson was referencing this code of conduct. But they weren't trained on it. He was just referencing it and saying that it would be good for Jamaica to have this. But now the training is over. They received the training in 2022. Here's an interesting paragraph. It says, however, while there is no legal compulsion or requirement placed upon the Parliament or the Cabinet to commit to the code of conduct, their formal subscription to these principles will be a clear demonstration to the people of Jamaica of the standards of integrity, governance, and accountability that they are prepared to submit themselves to as holders of the highest public offices in Jamaica. Likewise, please, ladies and gentlemen, take note of this paragraph. Likewise, a failure to formally commit to the code will also signal to the citizens of Jamaica the type of leadership that they should not expect from the country's highest office holders. And Mr. Christie essentially is begging the politicians to sign off on this document. They received the training. They want to sign off on it. And then they came out, this is June 6th of 2023, the following year, where the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs and others, they took issue with it. And they tried to politicize it. The commission was having none of this. And you can look this, you can go to their website, go to the Integrity Commission's website and look up this letter. the media release, dated June 6, 2023, public clarifications regarding the Integrity Commission's Leadership Code of Conduct, and read it for yourselves. I don't want to go through it because it's going to take up a lot of time. But essentially, it's pushing back. It's saying, look, you guys asked, and girls, you asked for the training. You asked for the training, you received the training, and now you don't want to commit to it. You don't want to sign a document demonstrating your willingness to adhere to it. And instead, they're taking issue with it. They're coming up with all kinds of reasons. So I urge you to go and read this document for yourselves. Because, let me just remove it. Because what you're going to find is that contrary to what the president in the video, the one that I just showed, where he said, I want everyone to be investigated. Here, just to sign a document to say we've received the training on these principles, they don't want to do it. So you can just imagine, well, you can't imagine it, that the prime minister is going to say, MOCA, Integrity Commission, JCF, I want all of you to investigate these politicians, including me. It's not going to happen. They don't even want to sign a simple 1-page or 2-page document. They don't want to do it. So it's not going to happen. Let me bring in ISAT. ISAT, what do you think about that?
Here's my take. It's difficult for me to tell you what I think about it because previously when we have conversations, our prime minister wasn't a doctor, he was a doctor with an honorary degree. Now him have a real one, I have to put some respect on him education, especially because it's about law and gun violence in a high crime society. And he just happens to be the prime minister in a high crime society. So he has all the information necessary. So in terms of the Integrity Commission, because they don't have a tongue and they don't have a mouth, and you know, mouth, teeth, and tongue, when that clash, people get things right. So it's difficult to say. I heard you made mention of Minister of Constitutional Affairs. The video I was watching with the man who deems himself a dictator, I noticed that even though he was fighting corruption, he was breaching human rights and he didn't have a problem with it. So it's like a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think that the government decision not to sign the principles of leadership is admirable on the wholeness side. I mean, integrity, probity, the only morality. They have more morality, albeit sick from time to time and checking in the hospital and get well and change stadium bulbs. I just don't think that the Jamaican people are concerned about integrity, honesty, and lack of corruption. I think that they're not too aware of the damage it's doing to them. So just recently, and I'm just putting this out there, and I'm not stirring up any pot, but putting things into context, is that the narrative, the Integrity Commission report was leaked, parts of it. The Prime Minister's response is consistent with not signing Code of Conduct. So there was a reporter, and she looked really good. She had a Tony Braxton hair thing, and then like some people behind her never looked so good. So the optics, you just saw her there, and he was like, "Where this? I've never seen such a beautiful reporter since Zara Lewis." They're like, no more. All of them, the rest of them popped up. But she was just this beautiful woman, and she came and she asked a question, and I felt like Trump. I was like, this is not fair. I think the prime minister is cheating. He must have known the question before. You know, that kind of thing. And she was like, so how do you feel about the leaking of the report? And everybody was like, yeah, this is a good question. And he answered it. Except he was like, yeah, because the PNP didn't know it's a come out. He had no problem with the fact that the contents of it was leaked under a gag and that his favorite radio station had the information. and he kept it political. So you do understand that we're dealing with people who have zero regard for the level of morality necessary to conduct themselves as ministers of the people. So in terms of corruption, it's live, it's real. We know. We have going back to your favorite guy right now. I'm using him because the CLARKE thing, it's so ironic. You know, you need 2 foot of CLARKes to call an election and 1 foot of flyout, and doesn't have dual citizenship. I have to say this all the time because on the morality point and the leadership principles, there was a big thing about dual citizenship. So big that it excluded. I'm talking about it now because I'm addressing the diaspora. They excluded the diaspora in the dual citizenship conversation. It says the diaspora people who now have ties to the United States should not even be considered in a new constitution to come and participate, given the structure of where we are situated in the world. In terms of improvement of the social life and class, it cannot take place for all in the Jamaican space. This is a reality. And here it is that they're saying the basis and reason for not needing for the exclusion of dual citizenship in the manner, even if it's allowed by the Constitution, i.e. Mark Golding's situation, former situation, because he has renounced by public pressure, is that when you have dual citizenship, you have some form of allegiance to another country. And we, the people who now have the visas and the right and the green cards and the other citizenship, the ability to travel freely through the world, because we know how immigration is. We have with one dege citizenship, Jamaica. So we're gonna be here for the people and we not leave. And as soon as we get a little job with a little bit of more money, we just get up and say, but it's my dream job. You know, it's my dream job. I'm gone. So that type of situation is consistent as to why they would not have signed that code of conduct, that principle, because they would be morally bound to it. And you know, morality is a serious thing. I mean, last year they were crying out about quoting dancehall lyrics and how it disqualifies you from leadership, but not if you have a chair and you beat a girl with it, provided that you marry her. So these are all of the realities that's being faced. What I will say though is I don't think that an election should even be allowed to happen until a bill is tabled about impeachment, and that we deal with these matters expeditiously, because it's not enough to just use social media and state media to color things that are messy. I find it laughable to have a discussion about bank accounts and the ending balance of what's in a bank account without providing the information of the money that passed through it, which could be billions. And because I'm a critical thinker and I'm not the brightest at math, but I'm just not so dumb and dunce and dense, I find it that it is very offensive to people who have even the basic level of intellect to accept that these are the things, especially when the things that flow in Jamaica, where one day my family resigns and I am related, and then I make decisions to people who are aligned with government, and that's the very thing that poker legislation and politically exposed people are trying to correct. So it's the heights of corruption that the people who are supposed to prosecute you are too close to you, and then they try to flout the law. And when it comes to the law, I know, Mr. Rattigan, that you are very au fait with matters of the law, and you run the ATI division in Jamaica, because they only answer you. They don't answer us common folk out here. But certainly when it comes to issues like that, it's more of the reason why maybe I'm now prepared to adopt your interpretation of the relevant sections in terms of this convenient gag that the Integrity Commission has. For instance, they've investigated, they've completed, they've tabled. Even corruption prosecutors say, "Oh, I'm prosecuting or not to prosecute." Their job is done. Why can't they speak? There's nothing left to do. And so because it is a convenient way to circumvent the realities, I'm now beginning to question whether or not I'm even accepting that the Integrity Commission is allowed to just say, "Oh, we're on a gag order." Because some of them need to get the cojones to say, "Listen, I saw it go," and then take it to the court. And if I'm wrong, let the Privy Council, let the CCJ, if it gets there, let the highest court of the land. And I can tell you, the Supreme Court is the competent place. I see me always defend the judiciary. They are the ones who have to tell me, say, "I know saw it go," before me believe it. Because a whole Ministry of Constitutional Affairs, anything about constitutional rights, anything about disenfranchisement of the people, that's this government. They are not qualified nowhere in law, no matter how much of them stack up. They have no understanding of the Constitution, and they have disqualified themselves to enter into that discussion. So when it comes to statutory interpretation, I question their ability. And for those reasons, unless the court tells me that what they're doing is right, when they step out and say, "This is what we're doing," I don't accept it. I don't believe it. And that's I know I said a lot, but that's what's going through my head.
That's fine.
There's something you said, I said, that just let me zone in on this one thing. And it was probably said when we first started addressing things related to the Integrity Commission. But who do they report to? Who do they answer to?
Themselves.
Integrity Commission?
Yeah.
Themselves.
Well, themselves and Parliament. It's a as I said, it's a creature of Parliament, and it's funded by Parliament. And as much as we'd like to think that it's independent,
it really isn't.
Right. It really isn't.
So whichever party is greater, but Parliament is supposed to have equal representation.
As in both parties have equal representation?
Well, I'm just saying, the Integrity Commission, it just takes me to the point of them being so gagged by whom?
By Parliament. The legislation puts the gag, but by interpretation, which I'm saying that I've looked at the legislation enough, and we've discussed it enough on this program, and I adopt what Mr. Rattigan has said about the legislation. And it has become apparent because we now know that there are no, especially in relation to this, what they call it, the declarations. They're not investigating. They have concluded there is an outcome, and we're sitting awaiting the outcome at the convenience of those in Parliament. So one wonders why it is like that. And I'm happy that the result is in the favor of the Prime Minister. And here's why I'm happy that it is in the favor. It is most embarrassing that the most honorable doctor, now a doctor, so you see how I respect education. When you turn doctor, you're suddenly opulent. Yeah, but it is embarrassing that his name has been mixed, and like the Prime Minister, President of what country was that? Huh? What country was that? Nicaragua. All right. Whichever one, that he doesn't want to be among thieves, and so there is the illicit 8. That's probably now 10. Or whatever it is, but as it grows, it is beginning to fester. And I'm glad he's not one of them, or I'm hoping he isn't one. And it's good to know that. And I've always, my favorite woman in politics, I mean, I care who vex, is his wife. I love me some Juliet, Honorable Juliet Holness, and people gonna cuss me. Look, them start, but they can't beat me. Me and I'm Adidas dressing all black like a omen. The comment section are cuss me. And they're my favorite people. She's my favorite person. I don't necessarily like her husband, but I love her. And it's my right to do that, my freedom. And I just think that the fact that he's somewhat vindicated or it ends like that is good for Jamaica. No matter how you feel about it.
Let me just say a couple of things. I said you mentioned the education achievement, and I for one congratulate you. But I remember when they asked him his statutory declarations, and his answer was that they were, they had a pen pal relationship. He said that he had written to him, he had written back to them, but he said, listen, I'm a very busy man because I have to take, I don't have to make time for this stuff. I have to, it's going to take a couple of days and blah, 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 blah. Now we know why he never have the time, because he was studying. He was studying, preparing his thesis for his PhD at his taxpayers' expense. So that's why I couldn't get all of this stuff for the statutory declarations in time. And then you have to ask yourself the question, when you find the time to do a PhD and him have a country for run? And you remember what him said? You get what you pay for. Him said, that's why the country is running this way. Because
let me cut you. If me was Prime Minister, me a study, and my paper due, me just lock down everybody. And then anytime they want to come, we just say, state of emergency. If me have to do my thesis, and I need to go down in a Clarendon to wrap up my last paragraph, me just lock up everybody.
I call it COVID. You call it COVID.
Call it whatever. Me just say, Major Anthony General, take a job. Because I have to write chapter 3. And just use taxpayers' money. Why not? It's not like they're not doing anything with it. It's not like the rest of Jamaica want to be educated. So even if he paid for it, whatever it was, I respect the letters. I've seen some people with letters and them can barely speak a word of English. So at a minimum, I respect. I respect the gangster.
That's because they're not English speakers. Come on now.
What does that mean? I don't get it.
You said they have letters and they barely speak a word of English. They're not English.
So what I'm doing with letters and letters is a part of the English language.
No, it's a part of the language too.
Letters are part of the
language.
In part of which language?
Wait, you're talking about Jamaican people with letters? Like, you're referring to...
I just want to know, because I could have never the patois said. They don't even recognize that as a language. I want to know what language you speak.
Hold on. Let me just say this.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I testified in a trial. And patois was the primary language used in that trial. And I was certified. I was the first FBI agent certified as a patois expert. The transcripts were in patois, and I had to get up on the stand and convince the judge that, actually, they brought a linguist in, and we had to convince the judge that patois is a language, not a dialect, and the judge accepted it, and that's how we were the transcripts in. Because otherwise they would say, no, it's not a language. And if it's a dialect, what are the rules? So the judge accepted that, hey, this is a language.
No, I am of the view it is a language. I'm saying, tell that to your doctor, Prime Minister, they don't accept it. They have not even marched forward to accept it. I appreciate it, because had they knew that it was a language, I would not have been suspended and fined last year for the use of patois.
No, easy now.
I'm just saying. Listen, that's elevated. It's the advanced version of, because it involves literature. But I'm gonna leave that. I'm not gonna push it. But that's what I'm getting at.
I think there's something else. The FBI has a language test for patois. If you want to be a speaker, as they call it, certified speaker. You have to take a test, like for Spanish or Italian or Russian or whatever, Japanese. They have one for patois. How do I know this? I took it, and I know people who took it. They regard it as a language. But let me just put up 53.3 because you made reference to it, right?
All right. Yes, yeah, need it.
53.3 people is the gag order. And here's what it says. It says, until the tabling in Parliament of a report under Section 36. Section 36 is where the Integrity Commission gets its authority to conduct investigations. Right? They can do it on their own. Somebody can call in. They can get it from Parliament. They can get it out of the Act itself. So it says all matters on investigation by whom? By the Director of Investigation. Now, here's why that's important. There is a division called complaints and information and complaints. When you submit your statutory declaration as a politician, where does it go? It doesn't go to the Director of Investigation. It goes to information and complaints. They're the ones who look at your statutory declaration. They're the ones who contact you if there's something missing, and they're the ones that you have this pen pal relationship with. And if they find that, well, things don't add up or whatever, then they make a recommendation to the Director of Investigation. So in essence, what the information and complaints, and it may be complaints and information. I think it's information and complaints. What they do is what we would call a preliminary investigation. They do a preliminary to see if anything is there. The Director of Investigation would then conduct a full investigation. Now, what this is saying, if you notice, it says all matters under investigation by the Director of Investigation. So what does that mean for information and complaints and their preliminary investigation? Can they talk about it? Because it doesn't say all matters under investigation by the Integrity Commission. It doesn't say that. It specifically identifies one investigative component of the Integrity Commission. It just pick out one. But Director of Investigation, that group is not the only group that does investigations in the Integrity Commission. So right there, I have a problem with that, because my first question is, well, what about the preliminary investigation being done by information and complaints? Can they talk about it? Because it would appear as if they can talk about it under 53.3. Now it says, on investigation by the Director of Investigation or any other person involved in such investigation shall be kept confidential, and no report or public statement shall be made by the Commission or any other person. Any other person, that's why we would say that any news media outlet that reports on a matter concerning the Integrity Commission's investigation that has not been tabled, they're in violation of this. The problem with this, though, is that when you go and you look at the penalty phase of this, the consequential phase of this, the only people under the Integrity Commission Act, and I'm open to being fully corrected, the only people who can be punished for revealing confidential information, they're the people employed by the Integrity Commission. It doesn't say anything about the media. So while you could say that under 53.3, nationwide radio, for example, would be in violation, the question is, what is the punishment under the Integrity Commission Act? And as far as I have read, there is no punishment. There is no punishment for them. And following up on what Isaac said, once the investigation is over, I mean, that's my reading of it. Once the investigation is over, you can talk about it. And I agree with Isaac that the Integrity Commission doesn't display a stiff, strong spine. Because if I were in charge of that group, I would say, you know what? Talk about it. And guess what? If you want to sue us, then fine. Because under the Integrity Commission Act, nothing that they do in the performance of their duties can they be held personally liable. So if they say, well, you know what, we're going to talk about it, you can't sue them in their individual capacity. You have to sue the Integrity Commission, and they won't pay in the event that, you know, the commission is held liable. They won't pay out of their pockets. It would be the government paying whomever sue the government. So that's why I would say I would come out, I would talk about it. I'd say, hey, if you don't like it, this is my interpretation of 53.3. If you disagree, then let's go to court and have a judge rule on that so we can clear this up. But they're so afraid. And let me show you something else. And I've talked about this before. Hold on 1 second. Kevin, we might need your help. There is a report. Is it this? Wait, stay with me, folks. All right. We've done this before, but it's worth going over it again because we're talking about the courage of the Integrity Commission, right? And this is the Honorable Seymour Panton, a legal luminary, a man revered, respected by ISAT. I don't know the Honorable Seymour Panton, but ISAT knows him and ISAT swears by him. He's one of the big wigs over at the Integrity Commission. And look at what he said.
Make that bigger for me, Ratty.
Hold on.
Is who Ratty saying must swear by now? Is what is this? What mix up is this Ratty's putting me under?
This is the Honorable Seymour Panton.
Okay.
A statement attributed to him. Right? Here's what he said. And I've read it, but no, people, you can see it for yourself. Let me put it up right here. Look at the very last paragraph. This is the Honorable Seymour Panton. He says, I do not for one moment query the veracity of the declarants. What is that statement mean? I do not think that they're lying, right? People who provide their statutory declarations, I'm going to assume that they're telling the truth. That's what he means by that. But he said, but I have noted that the Director of Information and Complaints, or that's the right term, Information and Complaints, has received responses indicating gifts having been made by individuals who have died. This is the Honorable Seymour Panton saying, I don't think anybody who's submitting a statutory declaration is lying, but I've noted that some of these people are saying that they receive gifts from people who have died. He goes on to say, these gifts are without a paper trail. And of course, the donors are no longer able to verify same. Translation, I believe everybody's telling the truth, but I noticed that people are saying that they got gifts from people who have died, and we don't have any proof of these gifts. We don't have any paper trail, and of course the people are dead, so they can't verify it. Next thought, he said, it is perhaps something worth watching. People, think about that. The word perhaps shouldn't be there. You're talking about statutory declarations now and illicit enrichment and where people get their money from and how you can prove it and all of that. And you know that people are using this loophole to say that, well, we get stuff from people who did and we can't prove it. And you say it is perhaps something worth watching. No, it is definitely worth watching. And look at after. The commission is not keen on investigating matters relating to donations by persons who have died. When just done the people is tell the politicians them say, oh no, just say whoever going to the thing, them dead, and we're not going to investigate it. You know what I'm saying? We're not keen on investigating those matters. So
well, if property can be passed on by word of mouth, and if you can claim property by way of word of mouth, then why not just say that?
Yeah, but you can't pass property on by word of mouth.
Well, I am leaving this. I'm leaving this cell phone when I die to my son, my firstborn son, and I'll walk outside, slip on a banana peel, hit my head, die. Then it's standing.
No. What I meant was real property, not personal property. I'm talking about, for example, you know. So, but this statement should never be uttered by a legal luminary in charge or over one of the guys over there at the Integrity Commission. This should never come out of the Integrity Commission, because if I'm advising a politician, I'm going to tell him, you know what? Make sure all of the money where you can, you got it from somebody who died, because the Integrity Commission said they're not keen on doing it. They're not going to do it. And if they try to make you as an alleged abuser process, are we going to use this state? They're trying to make make an example out of you, and we're not going to stand for that. I don't know why it was written. I don't know.
Well,
what I wanted to appreciate, though, it is sound legal advice based on the current state of the law. I think what needs to be said, and I know the most erudite jurists don't want somebody like me defending him, but I'm always marching along with the law. He has to say what is before him, and it whilst being gagged and mouth stuffed and unable to speak, while using the pen, has indicated to the legislators for it is their duty to remove the clogs and fetters. And so if you are putting out in the public space for criticism that which is the current state of the law, dead man no tell no tale. Just like how the JCF has figured it out that them not going to go court with them fenke evidence, or better them put the bullets in them head by direction of the Minister of Security, that you shoot then ask questions after. So we have an increase in extrajudicial killing is the same way. If a dead man give you money, nothing can come out of it because we can't go and question the dead man. That's how the law is. And until something is in place, what else do you want him to say?
All right, here's what I want him to say. It's not so much what I say, it's what I want him not to say. I don't want him saying this. What I want him to do is have a discussion with the Director of Information and Complaints and the Director of Investigations and the corruption prosecutor and the commission. Have an internal discussion and say, people, this is what we're seeing. And by the way, he's not the one seeing it, He's not the one seeing it because he's on the commission. This is something being told to him. So he has to do something about it. So then what you do is you get the troops, you gather the troops, you say, okay, this is a problem. Where is it a problem? You identify it, then petition the lawmakers. I would never put this out in the public. I would never, because you know what happened? What's going to happen now is, what if the politicians decide, well, we're not going to change the law for now? What you do next year when they say we're not going to change the law? You put it out there that, hey, if you do this, people, you're acting within the scope of
the scope of the law. Yeah. Everybody is skirting around the law, and I think that's something that people that's a criticism. I'm using this because it is situation ethics that even you as an attorney must appreciate. People can't be mad if you fall within the remit of the law. If you're not breaking the law, all we are doing now is having moral conversations, which I'm not certain I want to participate in.
Let me give an example.
And I think listen, even as we're saying this, the first thing that needs to be done is the removal of the gag order. What also needs to come with it is an impeachment bill. Because here's what happens. Where the government of the day refuses to table bills, the opposition and other persons, the mechanism must be there to impeach. It is distasteful to be put in a position where you are investigated. And I'm not talking about somebody dropping a false dime on you. Because you best believe if you are above board and your integrity is intact, nobody would be talking about illicit aid, because you best believe if somebody said, let me put it this way, treat it like the ISAT debacle. What do I mean by that? As something happened, front page, first name, last name, middle name, and the date that it happened. Whether it's true or not, it's just out there. Everybody should be treated like that. Nobody should be dancing around it, so much so that if somebody says, I am being investigated, I want to say, how dare you? I want to be in a position to say, you Integrity Commission are incompetent. And I'm not going to wait on you to mar my reputation. This is what I'm doing. Because believe me, nothing nicer than when you're not a thief. Them can't style you, They can call you a lot of things, but them can't call you a thief. Nothing nicer than somebody you're free to investigate, because me not do nothing wrong.
You know something? I went back and I started looking at all of the annual reports, right? And
yes.
The very first report put out by the Integrity Commission, the chairman, who's not this chairman, he called for an anti-corruption court, similar to what when we have the gun court, a court that's specifically designed to deal with these issues. And I thought it was a good idea. And what happened? The police, the politicians, them just ignore it because they know that, you know, if you have to go through the regular court system, and a very, very cogent argument was made that, listen, you don't want put the anti-corruption matters in the regular court, you know, in the regular court system, because it won't get clogged up with everything that's there. Have a specific court for that, so that we can highlight the matter, and also we can change some of the laws to reflect what we're talking about now. And this was back in 2018, 2019. Nothing has been done. But let me give you another example about how things are handled in Jamaica. Look at this. We're talking about ATIs, right? And this gentleman here, Justice Roy Anderson, in case people didn't know, the ATI, let me just explain how ATI, the way the ATI works, access to information, is that if you desire information from the government, and it doesn't, it goes beyond a ministry, it could be an agency, as long as the government has more than 50%, I believe, in any entity, they're subjected to ATIs. So you go to the government and you say, hey, I want some information about fertilizer, for example. Once they receive your complaint, they have 30 days to respond, and they can only provide, they can provide one of three responses. One is the information is confidential, you're not going to get it. Two, here is the information. Or three, we need more time to get you the information. And when they say more time, by law, they have 30 additional days. So what you'll find is that on the 30th day, you'll get a notice saying that we need more time. So now it's going to go to a possible maximum of 60 days. And then they have to give you the information. If they don't give you the information within that 60-day period, then you can appeal to the tribunal. There's an ATI tribunal, and it sits for 5 years. Now, this is what happened recently. This report came out September 13th, yesterday. The panel, the panel ended. When I say the panel ended, meaning that their term ended, and nobody's listening to ATI appeals. Nobody is listening to ATI appeals. Now, what's weird about this is that, let me see if I find it here. Is it this? Okay, here's an example of what I'm talking about. Well, first, let me go back and see when. Let me see when the when did it end? Is it this? Yeah, it ended. Let me see. It ended. Oh, and by the way, you know, remember when the Public Service Commission did the debacle with the DPP, that panel ended, and they had to. It expired May 31st, and they didn't renew it, and it was on April 21st when it says here, opposition leader Mark Golding raised an alarm that they hurriedly put something together. But let me see when this thing ended. When it ended. You remember Kevin, I don't know, maybe I passed it. It ended, I think it ended back in June.
Unless it wasn't this article.
Yeah, I know it ended in June, but let me show you something here. All right. No, let me make it big. All right, I can see. You can see that, right?
You can
I
go up one.
Guys answered. Well,
I'm seeing it.
There you go, right there.
All right. Now, what's the date on this? April 30th, right? So I sent something to the I sent something to the office of the DPP, right? And see me send it all over the place, right? So, and I said, please provide a written response clarifying whether Ms. Claudette Thompson is acting as the Director of Public Prosecutions based on Ms. Paula Llewellyn being on vacation or due to the office being vacant. And I said, kindly be reminded of the statutory response period under the ATI, which is the 30-day period, right? So that's April 30th. No, this is what happened. May 30th. Remember I tell you about the 30-day period? They come exactly 30 days. And they said, good day, Mr. Rattigan, with reference to your request to this office for a written response clarifying whether Ms. Claudette Thompson is acting, blah, 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 blah. I am directed to respond as follows, right? Now, here's the reason. They're not giving me any information, but they have to tell you why they're not giving it to you. So she said, I'm not giving it to you because of Section 22 of the Access to Information Act and Section 42, Paragraph 1 of the second schedule of the Data Protection Act. So she said, based on these two laws, I can't give you any information regarding that. So, mama no raise no fool. So what me do? Me go look it up. And here is what happened. I wrote back. Where is it? Okay. Okay. Here's my response. That was what? April 30th? No, May 30th to June 30th. That was it. No, April 30th to May 30th. Yeah, May 30th.
I responded to you May 30.
Yeah, I sent it April 30th. They responded May 30th. And then a few days later, I wrote this one. And I said, look, I'm writing to appeal, right? And I said, here's why. Under Section ATI, Section 22 that you talk about, right? It has nothing to do with personal affairs. It says that, here's what it says. It says, this provision prohibits access to an official document if it would involve the unreasonable disclosure of information relating to the personal affairs of any person. My argument is that no, this is in the public's interest and has no connection to the person's personal affairs. That's number one. Number two, it says here, it says that it deals with the exemption of personal data and refers the reader to paragraph 6. Paragraph 6 deals with the exemption of personal data. And here's what it deals with. Specifically, it deals with the situation where personal data are processed for the purpose of or in connection with a corporate finance service. And see what I put there. I'm not involved in a corporate finance service, and my request has nothing to do with a corporate finance service. So if you look at the conclusion, it says, so these two statutes that you're giving me, they do not apply. So I appealed. Now, here's what they said. That was June 3rd. 30 days later, they responded. And they said,
they remain consistent.
Yeah, they said, please be advised that an internal review of the matter was conducted by the Chief Personnel Officer of the Office of the Services Commission, and I am directed to inform you that the decision remains. That's what them do. So what did I do? I appealed. Let me see if I can file the appeal.
That's a PDF.
Oh, the PDF? No, it's not. Oh, wait. No, it's not. I don't see it.
Yeah, man. It's a PDF.
I just saw it a while ago, you know.
Oh, close it.
You see it?
Even if you closed it, no problem. Okay, I'll open it back. But it's a PDF.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't see it though. But be that as it may, people, I appealed, right? And my appeal has been sitting there. I just saw it a while ago. Kevin.
I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, help me out there. Oh, wait a minute. Is it on this? No, it's not on this one.
No, it's not on that. It's by itself.
Right. But folks, see, this is how they operate, right? The ATI appellate body, They serve for 5 years. The 5 years up. Them don't tell anybody anything. And now they're saying they have 20 appeals sitting there, and nobody's looking at these appeals. Is this how you run a country? And you claim that you're trying to rid yourself of corruption, and you're trying to be transparent. This is not how it's done, but this is what's being done. And until people start coming out and start making noise, we're not going to get any better. We're not going to get any better. So for all of you out there who, and I don't know how many people out there have, in this audience, how many of you have appeals with the tribunal? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But we're persisting. What is up with the Magnitsky Act? I got a phone yesterday, Edlin, and just so you know, I'm still waiting on some documentation. We're not going to give up on that. Oh, there it is. Thanks, Kev. All right, folks. So let me go back and see. So that was June, right? What's the date here? July. So here's my date. July, 4th of July, holiday in America. So here it is that I send off my thing right here to the tribunal, and they stopped the panel stopped operating in June. They don't tell anybody anything. They don't tell anybody anything. So this appeal is sitting there right now. This appeal is sitting there. And believe me, as I sit here, folks, I'm telling you, I know I'm right. I know I'm right. The 2 statutes they gave me, they're inapplicable. They don't apply to the situation. And if you notice, I didn't ask them if they're paying the DPP her regular salary, and they're paying the acting DPP a DPP salary. I didn't ask that. I just asked, what's the situation with her? And they can't. They don't want to tell me. Right? So that one is sitting there waiting to be determined. No. Kevin, you want to move on? I want to move on to the
today.
I'll move on to the traveler. The ambulance, the gentleman who died at the airport because. All right. All right. Let's switch the topic now, folks. Now, most of you by now have heard about the gentleman from Florida, the Jamaican who resided in Florida, who went to Jamaica for a funeral, and on his return, at the airport, he fell, hit his head, and subsequently, and people were leaving medical ambulance. They're looking for an ambulance. They're looking for medical personnel to administer care to this man. It wasn't forthcoming. Nobody was around. The man died. I think at one point they were even saying that they could get an ambulance, but the ambulance would be a private ambulance and it cost $400. And while they're there disputing or discussing the price or whatever, the man died. And to add insult to injury, we have been told by one of his relatives, the person who took him to the airport, that he was some of his personal belongings, i.e., money. Money was from him. That's sad. That's very sad. Sad that he died, and it's just a horror story all the way around. Know what I'd like to do? I want to bring your attention. Like I said, most of you know about that story, right? Let's go back to January of this year and see what did the United States say to its citizens and by extension the world about the medical situation in Jamaica. Here we go. Can you see that, Kevin? Or yeah, I forgot. Let me go. Control.
Plus.
Which one me hit?
Plus. Control plus.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah, man. There we go. There we go.
Okay. All right. Look at the date. January 30, 2024. All right. Now, let's just go to the section. Let's look at the paragraph at the top that you're looking at, the one that begins with emergency services. See that? Emergency services and hospital care vary throughout the island, and response times and quality of care may vary from U.S. standards. Public hospitals are under-resourced and cannot always provide high-level or specialized care. Private hospitals require payment upfront before admitting patients and may not have the ability to provide specialized care. So even if they won't take your money, they may not be able to help you. Next sentence. Ambulance services are not always readily available. As my Bridget Lonesome would say, not my words. Not my words. The words of the American government. It says ambulance services are not always readily available, especially in rural areas, and they're not always staffed by trained personnel. So the US government said, we're not recommending that you go to Jamaica, but if you have to go, don't get sick. Right? No. It's interesting. I say it's interesting because the person who died, he was not a US citizen. If he had been a US citizen, I'm telling you, this would be global right now. It would be global because this is exactly what the US government said in January of this year, right? Now, let's go to see. That's January. We have another one, right, Kevin? Oh, here it is.
Yeah, we have January, we have July.
Right. Now here's July, and it says updated to reflect additional information on crime and healthcare. Now let's go to healthcare. Right. All right. Let me. You can't see that, right, Kevin?
Yeah, man.
All right. No, folks, we showed you the one in January. Here's the date, July 25th, right? No. Right there. Look at the paragraph at the top. It says, U.S. citizens should not expect the same level of health care available in Jamaica as is available in the United States. This includes generally lower levels of emergency service response times or routine care for illness or injury. Sound like we're talking about the man at the airport. Private hospitals require payment upfront before admitting patients and may not have the ability to provide specialized care. Ambulance services are not always staffed with EMTs or always readily available, especially in rural areas. U.S. citizens should bring extra prescription medication as common medications such as insulin can be difficult to obtain. This is the U.S. government again talking about ambulance services. We could go to what the Canadians say. And the Canadians, this one was updated to September 9. See the date right here, so? Let me see if
I got you.
All right. Yes, sir. All right, my brother. See the date right here, September. So we have January, July, and we have September, right? Now, let me go down. Oh, by the way, when them talk about crime, look at this, look at them put there. That's a no shouldn't go nowhere in Kingston at all. All of this are Kingston. And then you have Moby and whatnot. But
hold on, I'm looking for my address. I went too fast. Roll, screen, roll. Let me see.
Where you live?
Hold on. Scroll a little bit. I'm looking if I see because I live in one of those communities. All right, I'm seeing it. Grand Spain, continue. That's how I be. Yes. All right, I'm there. It's true. The whole like watch out. Yes. You're right. All right. the Prime Minister constituency there.
Yes.
One, I guess because he was studying for his doctorate, that's why it made the list.
Well, here's Hill. Let me get to this section. About precaution, person. Okay, here it is. Them say adequate medical facilities exist in all where tourist areas. Wait there. What pass it?
Yeah. No. I just made it bigger.
You know,
You're in it. You're in it.
I'm in
Yeah,
it. Right?
Yeah.
No, I'm pass it.
No,
No, me
man.
not get-
This is part of health. Wasn't
no,
it?
further down. I think it's further down.
What?
I think health. Yeah, it's further down. All right, here we go. First. Oh, here it is.
There we go.
Adequate medical facilities exist in all tourist areas and in Kingston, right? That is what you say.
Then the airport. Donald Sang's the no big tourist area, man.
But listen to what they're going and say. Medical care and facilities are limited in remote areas. Ambulance services are limited across the country and are provided by the Jamaica Fire Brigade and private services. And that's worth noting, people, that when you call for an ambulance, it's through the fire brigade. Or if you get a private one. It says medical services can be very expensive. Make sure you get travel insurance, blah, 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 blah. And it goes on. All right.
How much fire brigade have ambulance?
Well,
To be fair to Donald Sangster, Mr. Vaz put an ambulance there now. It park up at the airport.
that man. We'll get to that.
Operative word is no, sir.
Yeah, it's a reactive government. It's not proactive. It's reactive. So now, public service announcement. One person at a time must drop down at the airport. Okay, one.
Okay, so with the placement of this this ambulance, the vehicle just parked there and don't put nobody to operate it. The vehicle just did it.
All right.
We know the ambulance there. We don't know if no driver get hired for that.
Well, here's the thing. Let me go through some things here, right? Go through at the stage. All right. No, Jamaica Fire Brigade. Right? You can't make that larger for me? Okay. All right.
Oh,
the EMS is the arm of the Jamaica Fire Brigade that provides pre-hospital care from 6 fire stations. Look at the first one. The first one is Iron Shore. Iron Shore is close to the airport.
yeah, that's right down there.
Yeah. Iron Shore is close to that's the first one listed. And here's what they do. When they say pre-hospital care, I don't know if you can make it. You can make it bigger, Kevin?
Okay, how big it gets smaller right about now. And you make it bigger, it look like it gets smaller.
Hold on there. We do something wrong, man. Because right now. Okay. All right, there it is. You can see it, right?
We're seeing it. More
Okay.
important, people can find it because it's on the internet. We're not making it up.
Okay. So you see right here, when it says pre-hospital emergency care, they have primary care, emergency medical service, accident and emergency department, operating there, blah, 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 blah. That's what they include in medical care services. And this place is right down the damn street, and somehow it could make it in time, right? That's number one.
Who called them? Nobody never called them. Nobody never called them, you know. People were asking about private.
Now look at this. This is 2020, from 2020. Look at the headline. St. James Ambulance Services inadequate. Costly private providers fill in the gap. This is 2020. When them say, we don't... Look at this. 2 of the 7 government ambulance assigned to St. James now out of service. There is no question that the parish is not equipped to adequately serve its just roughly 186,000 residents and thousands of visitors who travel there annually. This is 2020. February 2020. But we're not in this. So
That's all we fix. Send them back to 7. With nobody to drive it or professionally skilled to operate in it.
3 ambulances in St. Thomas, 6 in St. Catherine, 5 in Kingston and St. Andrews. So we have ambulances, right? We'll have mental health buses, 4 of them, and so on and so forth. We'll put this on paper so we have all of them things there, right?
You just said 3, 5 in Kingston?
Yes. Here's another one.
Japan
gave an ambulance to Mandeville Hospital. So we have ambulance. We have Wooly ambulance. Here's one going to Mandeville Hospital, right? Here's another one. Red Cross get ambulance from Nestle. This is March 2022, right? Let me see this one out. That's a Nestle one. Here's another one. Japan provides 15 million to purchase ambulance for Falmouth. People, we are getting ambulance, you know. And look at the date, 2023. See there?
Yeah, but remember, just like the African politician, when them vote out, should take back our ambulance. When people don't get them one, them take back them ambulance, we just not see it in the news.
You think Japan take back the ambulance?
Of course, when Japan see how much things are going for China, them just take it back. I don't know that.
Well, what?
All right, let me stop.
No, look on this one. Yeah. Jamaica constabulary gets whopping $8,000 from Japan to buy ambulances and trucks. Now, here's what happened. Japan provided Jamaica with 428 million Jamaican dollars to do what? To purchase not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 ambulances and 33 pickups for the JCF. The question is, where them ambulances are there? Where the 33 pickup truck them there? Tell me, Mr. Minister of National Security.
If they don't want a war to clear off, we need the custom officer to help clear them off. 3 ambulance.
5 ambulance. 5 right? And what I know, you have a police station, if I'm not mistaken. I know you have a police station at the airport in Kingston. If you have a police station at the one in Montego Bay, or if you don't have one, you should have one, because that's where most of the passengers them are come through. And so why is that? Why isn't an ambulance there? Where the 5 ambulances them? Where them there? Nobody know the 5 ambulances them there. Right?
So I wonder. Somebody who is in Parliament, one of our civil servants, need ambulance assistance. Do they get it?
I have to say yes. When the Minister of Health was knocked off his bicycle, who took him to the hospital?
That's a good question. Who took him to that? How did he get
to
the
hospital? It's the artist took him.
The artist. Well,
yes.
Yeah, but hold on, no. That's why I'm asking the question where the ambulance is. Remember now that there's a young man who got shot in front of Jamaica House, and his father had to drive from Cherrygans, come pick him up and take him to the hospital. And him got shot in front of the guard post in front of Jamaica House. Where the ambulance is them there? Here station following this is September 12th. Now we have an ambulance station there. People, you cannot make this up. That's why I'm saying Jamaica is not a real place, because Jamaica does not thrive on being proactive or predictive. Jamaica thrives on being reactive. Something have to happen and people dead before action, if any, is taken. You mean, say, Kevin and Isaac, you mean to tell me that nobody could figure out that, hey, we need an ambulance at the airport. International airport, we're not talking about Tinson Pen. International airport. 2 of them. And we don't have no ambulance.
Question.
Tell me
Since
what.
there has now been a placement of an ambulance at Donald Sangster, has one been placed at Norman Manley? And has one been placed at Fleming?
They don't need one at Norman Manley and family. People don't get sick at Norman Manley Airport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nobody does that. Nobody gets sick at Norman Manley Airport.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Isaac.
Yes.
Is there an ambulance at Port Royal?
Where?
Port Royal.
At Port Royal?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in the sea.
Parking a giddy house, garage.
It's not Lime Key. The Buccaneers had it there, so everything Iron Man.
No. So you see what I'm saying? You needed one because there's a community right there.
Very true.
Yeah, the people Mount Harbor View. Is there one near there? No. And look how many I've shown you several instances of ambulances being provided to Jamaica. Free. And we don't know what them there. And nobody's asking questions. So
that was my question, blessed one. People to operate in the ambulance. Now, we know Jamaica is filled with skilled individuals who are, albeit looking for the opportunity to use their skills elsewhere because it's more lucrative. However, we know Jamaica is filled with skilled individuals. People drive bus, train, tractor, bulldozer, Land Rover, bed, all kind of thing. You name it. They have wheel, them can drive it. Even when it don't have wheel, because people are driving people crazy all the time. We know that there are some people there who are they identified. Being skilled and being trained is two different things. Yes, I get it. But we hear about an ambulance here, an ambulance there, an ambulance maybe somewhere. But we don't hear about the personnel with it. We don't hear about the individuals who are put in rotation, because it can be the same 2 or 3 people, one driver, one paramedic, 2 paramedics, the same 3 people who would be available to man these vehicles, because they'll get tired at some point in time. They have to be always on call. So how it go? We don't. No articles have said anything about that. They mention a vehicle. So okay, we're gonna park up an ambulance around down at Donald Sangster. Cool, good for optics. Something happen, and then what? Right, this cricket.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't know. All we know is that ambulances. All we know that we had travel advisories saying that, look, the ambulance service is terribly in Jamaica, right? And the government, in fact, what the government did, the government tried to spin it by saying, oh, the advisory was about crime, and the first one wasn't really about crime. The first one was about it was an update to the health sector issue, and our world-class ambassador went on media in the US, and she's talking about crime, and she made a, with all due respect, she made a fool of herself, because what she was saying is that it's okay for, as long as tourists are protected, as long as tourists are not killed, then it's fine. That's what it came out of her mouth, because she was saying, oh, the tourist areas are safe, and I'm saying, but what about the areas where people live, your people? What about those areas? And it just didn't. She didn't convey whatever it was that she was trying to convey. That would suffice the Jamaican public. It didn't work. So
the advisory was really caused by the dirty 30 just being dirty. That's what the advisory was caused by.
So we had the we have the January travel advisory from the US. We had a July travel advisory from the US. We had one in September from the Canadians. And they're basically saying don't go to Jamaica if you can't help it. And if you do go, don't get sick because the health sector is failing. And they were specific about ambulances. And
well,
then
they use Bob Marley's song, "Come to Jamaica if you feel all right." So,
there's that word in there, if.
well, it didn't know.
So that's where we are with that. So, I was going to open the phone line, Kevin, but we have more stories to talk about. We talk about the report, the reports, Integrity Commission reports. Let me put this up. Integrity Commission. Let me put up this report. ISAT, do you think? All right, here it is.
Yes, I'm listening.
No, I'm trying to set this thing up here. Okay, where is it? I think this is it. All right, there we go. Have you seen this report? Have you seen that?
I don't know if that is that the real report, because some fake letters was going around accusing members and stuff like that. Then another letter came out. So I anytime I see a letter out with the Integrity Commission, until I hear one of them say we did put this out, I just don't read it, because I hear there are some people in the political spaces that are recreating fake letters. Mind you, they should be charged, but I don't see it happening. Is this a legitimate one?
Yes.
And you vetted it and know that it's actually from them?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's the first I'll be seeing it.
This is September 5th, 2024, and it's sent to your favorite, one of your favorite politicians, the most Honorable Juliet Holness. It's also sent to the Honorable Heroy Clarke, Senator the Honorable Tom Tavares Finson, and Miss Colleen Lowe. And they're talking about the submission of investigative report, a ruling, a special report to Parliament for table. There are about 4 reports here in a letter, I believe. There is a report of investigation, an associated indicative ruling, and full ruling of its director of corruption prosecutor. Then there is a special report, and then down here they mention that a letter was sent along. Oh, here it is. The associated indicative ruling, which is embodied in a second and separate letter, together with the full ruling of the director of corruption prosecution in the matter, as well as the section 36.3 special report, were submitted. Now, is there any reason for your favorite politician to be worried? ISAT.
I'm listening.
Yeah, I'm just asking. You see any cause for concern on the part of your favorite politician?
I mean, so let's take it one step at a time. One is the most honorable Juliet Holness, MP, Speaker of the House of Representatives. Her husband was getting a doctorate, so she might not have processed what she's supposed to do from the 5th of September. Plus, Parliament opens on the 17th, so there's nothing they can do until then.
Okay.
In relation to the most honorable Heroy Clarke, MP, JP, Deputy, he can't do nothing until the most honorable Juliet Holness says something. in relation to the Senator Tom Tavares. Well, all of them is the Prime Minister friend, and the report is about him. So that's the only thing that's strange. Something I'm supposed to say?
Yeah, the reason why I asked is because
Mhm.
I went back and I looked at some of the reports.
Why is Kevin, why are you laughing? Am I being practical? I just feel like I'm doing a multiple choice question and I'm failing. And I've never failed an exam in my life, so this would be a first.
All right. No, you
Be
haven't
like an
failed.
ATI exam, and you know, we here in Jamaica, we don't get you with the ATI. Go ahead.
No, the reason I mention it is because we went back and we looked at some of the correspondence coming out of the Integrity Commission concerning reports submitted for tabling. And we don't normally see the Deputy Speaker of the House on the distribution. What we normally see is the Speaker, the President of the Senate, and the Clerk. The one time that we can that we recall seeing this the Deputy Speaker of the House was when Speaker Marissa Dalrymple Philibert was in trouble, and it was sent to the Deputy Speaker as well. So that's why I'm asking you that. Do you think that there's any cause for concern here that we can? Is there something we can read into this? That's to say, the only time that we've seen this in recent memory was when the former speaker was embroiled in an investigation, and she had to resign, and it was sent to her. It was sent to the deputy as well. So should we read anything into this saying, hey, sent to the deputy? Could it mean that the speaker is oh, Anthony G says it's on the honorable Holness, not Dr. Holness. Could it mean that the speaker is having some problems? Kevin, what do you think? Or you want to leave it to Isaac?
You know, this is ISAT department
Answer.
because I speak it very simple, and my understanding is of these things are very simple and layman like, and ISAT gets to break it down for the layman. So let me have it, ISAT.
That's what I'm trying to say. That in relation to this reporting, listen. Let me put it this way. I'm paying Tissa Taylor, I am paying attention, but you must learn to know that when you're dancing with the devil in the pale moonlight, and you know they're foreign like these two gentlemen here, you can't make them thump out your teeth, because teeth can't grow back when you reach certain age. All right, Tissa Taylor. And no, I'm worse, the top man of him doctorate and 1 foot of clogs. Me not really want to get into that. Safe to say this. Seriously though, Mr. Rattigan, like the Indicom, which is literally useless when it comes to what their function is, not because of the incompetence of the human staff, but because of the resources required to execute their job. The Integrity Commission, when they issues letters and stuff like that, it don't mean nothing because they can't do nothing. So when you look at how the government deals with the Integrity Commission, it's like when ants in your milk. You understand? It matters not. And as I said, the people, if you look into the comments, some of the labor rights here, they're just being disrespectful because they know their funds are going to cut off because they're going to lose the next election, and some of them are going dead for hungry. And so all they can do now is employ ad hominem. So the writing is on the wall. What we need to do is try to look about how we can strengthen the Integrity Commission, give it a little bit more teeth, and have it operate in such a way that would deal with impeachment and all that comes with it. That's all I'm saying. Because when you read it, they say it's stable. They said they submitted the report and they've done their job. Now it's before Parliament, and Parliament does what they want to do. But come Tuesday, no, don't get me wrong. I think Tuesday is the 17th. What I will say is that the report is in the favor of the Prime Minister, and it will be a welcoming, exciting report which vindicates him in such a way that the Integrity Commission gonna look very, very, very foo-foo. Like, people over there should be fired and careers destroyed, because how dare you drag the Prime Minister's name through the mud over $300,000. The heights of bad mind reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but through how your bad mind, you're toiling upward through the night to drag the Prime Minister's name through the mud. And I'm just putting it out as it is, because that will be the narrative in the media. You understand? And it's a mechanism to justify the slackness that takes place, because that's really what it is.
Let me just put this at my sister.
You see, I sat gone inside labor rights, socialist violence in the chat room now.
I'm inciting that.
Let me just say that.
I said what I said, and I know say I stand on solid footing. I'm just addressing the gaps in the law that need to fill.
Let me just say regarding the ambulance. A sister of mine sent some, said Jaja Foundation with Dr. Trevor Dixon they have an ambulance. I saw something, but they're still, I don't think they have it yet. They're asking for donations to complete the purchase. But that's another ambulance that will be in Jamaica soon. And we've heard numerous stories of ambulances just sitting on the port because of clearance issues. So, we'll see how that works out.
Wasn't there a picture at one point with ambulances rotting on the wharf?
Yep. I believe I saw that picture.
Oh, I thought it was just me.
Yeah. Well, what are going to do at this point, Kevin? Because we have two major stories. One of them has to do with the CLARKE, the IMF, and the Jamaican government, and the other one has to do with the politics and reality of our politics of airport security. I don't think we're going to finish that because we have the teacher. We have a teacher coming up, a principal actually coming up in about 20 minutes. So what we're going to do right now, and I'm having some technical difficulty here. So we're going to play a nice tune here, keeping the theme of the Crown Prince, because we're here from Dread I Dread, and Pee Wee did a should have faith in you, with the Dread I Dread band, and we have a singer here. I mean, if you close your eyes, what I would ask you to do, people, close an eye, just close an eyes and listen to this and tell me who is singing. Just close your eyes. Don't look on the screen. Just close your eyes or turn away from the screen and just tell me who you think this person is. Here we go. Let me just remove that. That's a Chester Miller. And for those of you who never hear this young man sing it, is the reincarnation of Dennis Brown. Him look like Dennis, him sound like Dennis, and some people say Dennis youth. Me no know. Him say him used to hang out with Dennis when he was younger, and you know, but it's a pleasure and a thrill listening to him. It just take me back to them time that when Dennis said that, you know, I light up the place. And if you think him sound like Dennis, right, the song, I'm going to play you part of a concert that he did in Jamaica. Because every year them have a tribute to Dennis Brown concert. And he was one of the guest performers. And I want you to just listen to the voice, listen to the phrasing, listen to everything about this man here.
Your good times when you're bad. Thank you for all those times that I've had when the sun comes tomorrow. Blessed with another day. These I have found life's middle ground. Halfway up, halfway down. Yeah. Greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty. Emperor Haile Selassie I the First. Cha-cha! Rastafari, ever living, ever faithful, ever sure. I also greet you to the 12 tribes of Israel, which was once lost and scattered, but is now found in the island of Jamaica by our beloved prophet, Dr. Vernon Carrington. I also greet you to the Orthodox faith, which is one not of rich nor rights, but is a true functioning of the heart. Massive, you ready? Ooh, oh, oh, hey. Ooh, oh, oh, hey. The first time I laid eyes at you, you teased and said I want you. afford to the ridiculous. You insult my intelligence, making me furious. So caress me, girl, embrace me, girl. Never ever go astray. Caress me, girl, embrace me, girl. Why? Caress me, girl, embrace me, girl. Make me feel like a pretty little man. Why? Oh, caress me, girl. Give me some of that drum and bass. The first time I laid eyes at you, you teased and said I wrote you. Why? But deep in my heart, I knew I was so in love with you. So caress me, girl, embrace me, girl. Never ever go astray. Caress me, girl, embrace me, girl. Why? Caress me, girl, embrace me, girl. Never ever go astray. Caress me, girl, embrace me, girl. Why? Mr. Dennis Emmanuel Brown, look it, for you. There is no mountain I would not climb, no treasure I would not find. I turn the hands of time for you. Hey, Massive, how we feeling? Hold on, watch out. Kingston's Waterfront, how we feeling? Let me hear you. Sure, don't sound like y'all even ready, you know. Massive, you ready? Sure, go now. Go on. And before I go, I want to send a special shout out to Mr. Junior Lincoln. I also want to send a shout out to Yvonne Brown, Dennis' wife, and Marla Brown, Dennis' daughter. You can find her on Instagram as It's Marla Bay. Keeping Dennis Brown legacy alive and strong. Thank you. Slusha!
Just that to the world. Yeah. Oh, them say I saw one KFC. Yeah, at least I said that him look like Dennis Brown's son. Yeah, I mean, if you look upon him, is like a striking resemblance. Striking resemblance. So that's how the thing go. I saw
Cloning.
Yeah, I know. KFC is tomorrow. No, my plan is this. I'm gonna put on my orange shirt from 6 a.m. I'm gonna go to from the furthest point for where the bus them are load for go a PNP conference. I'm gonna collect some KFC. I'm gonna put a KFC to it tomorrow. They want to feed me. Yeah.
Hold on. Speaking role.
If I have a speaking role,
Yes.
like at the conference,
Yes.
I might say something nice. I might speak about human rights. I mean, the People's National Party is the only party that have human rights at KFC. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. After that,
So,
yeah.
hold on.
One party have the KFC, the other one only promise it.
Only promise it. One party have the food, the next party have green arm. Mole. We don't want mole. Anyway, let me stop. Yeah, vitamin C and KFC. Yeah.
People ask why me not play ISAT song, because ISAT song it have copyright issues. ISAT have to do like if you notice me play concerts and play people sing other people's other songs, because if we play ISAT video, I might run into issues. I'm have to talk to ISAT and see if him.
Yes, copyright infringement. I have to make my money. Oh.
Yeah, the program I forget whitelisted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now what happened? If him do a concert, we can play it. But to take him video and put him hard earned money in, and then you have publishing rights, you have copyrights, you have all kinds of companies that behind are gonna come and we are gonna have problems. Oh, them say play 30 seconds. I can't play 30 seconds of ISAT. Who can take 30 seconds of ISAT? You want 30 hours? What do you mean 30 seconds? 30 seconds only that cost.
Yeah. Tell
Hey.
them.
Hey, them say if you free up the music, you must talk to your
And that we don't know the love too much freeness.
I played ISAT last week and people are ask, wait, that's ISAT? The same ISAT? I'm like, yeah. You never hear this one?
Wow.
I hear fall to the ISAT, you know, the thing.
We're all over. But yeah, I expect to I think I need to address the public. We are at an impasse in the Jamaican space where we have to separate road and pavement versus people and upliftment. It has to be stated. Can't overstate it anymore. And that's the movement. So yes.
Well, all right. I'm looking forward to your attendance tomorrow to see whether or not you will have something to say, or you just be there all dressed up and just looking, or invite.
Well, if I don't speak, then the powers that be don't want me speak. I say because I'm not a mute.
Okay.
All right.
Some people here say that them say ISAT. But them love you after some man. Love you have. Oh, somebody Carol say you'll be on the big show in December. Is that true?
Buy a ticket. You don't want to miss this one. I promise you. We better buy the diaspora, the better be there, We don't want to miss this one, Ratty. You're up there. You
know something?
You're not going to sacrifice on the New Year's Eve and ringing the New Year's in a Jamaica at the stadium. That's all I'm going to say. Leg on my t-shirt.
More than just the New Year's Eve I get sacrificed. There's a
Well, I'm just saying.
So let me ask you.
Monica said, remember to be the rod. Yes, the rod of correction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Them say Damien brought the staff, but this Rasta man are gonna bring the rod.
All right.
Look for me in the east. Huh?
How are rehearsals coming along?
For what? You say how are rehearsals coming along? For what? East Portland, or are you talking about the show? I'm trying to I don't know which one you're talking. Both. All right. Well, let me address. For the first one, there can be no action without a Rasta man. You know that. All right, but for the December one, it's a work in progress.
The second one is a work in progress.
The second one is a work in progress. But like all things, it always comes together. Yeah.
Okay.
God and time.
God and time.
Are you will there be a collab on stage?
If there has to be, why else would I be there? But if I want thing I learn, I know for that Shandy Buckley to come here, so them stuff from the Gaza man free. Me down here and say, yo, Shandy Buckle start reproduce again. And none now reach my head.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We'll go to the show, man. We'll go to the show.
All right. So, like, I think then.
Folks, we're waiting for the principal to come on because we're going in promptly again at 8 or slightly before that because Kevin have a special event he have to attend to tonight. And then, I have to go leave. Me have to go leave to get ready for tonight as well. And like I said, tonight we'll play some message music, You can read between the lines. We are going to talk about government, we'll talk about life in general, we'll talk about, those relationships with people, the ones that are good, the ones that are bad, why them bad and all of that. So you can dance to the music, but I would much rather have you just relax, as we say, with the rebel and just listen to the lyrics, Cause we dance every week. Oh, by the way, next week, I have a choice. I can play some dance music, some 70s, 80s dance music, American dance music me I talk about, or we can play some really nice slow jams where you can 3-step to and fling your partner all over the place, We'll go back to the days when man used to dance with woman. So I have some of them music that set up, and I have some music set up for dance. So now for me know which one I'm playing next week. But tonight we'll play reggae. Tonight.
Yeah, but before that, we can't just skip over that. How the fling your partner go? In all sorts of way. We can't just get past that. That's some vice president type of favorite word is M and with a mother, Mr. President, kind of how you fling your partner all kind of way. What kind of set good behavior this?
Dance floor. Kevin know me I talk about.
Yeah, I just want all right.
On the dance floor we are talking about. See that rules the 3-step. Talk about.
That's right. I said I know the 3-step. You only can take 2-step.
Let me make up.
Our 5th step is a 6-step, 6 piece, one for each piece.
No, 6-piece chicken.
Who ordering? All the chicken.
Oh,
let me tell you what I'm saying. All the chicken. I need to address this.
Tonight. Go ahead.
I think that somebody's on to my fast food carelessness because they blow up Burger King, but they didn't know that I don't go to Burger King. And they blow up the space. So you have to watch yourself when you're ordering fast food. That's all I'm gonna say. It's time for learn how to cook.
Them not gonna mess with the KFC, don't worry.
And that me say, we really say that.
Yeah, them
Ratty, I was wondering if you addressed that the young lady is struggling to get funding to get the medical attention that she needs. And the owners of the franchise of Burger King is not readily want to release it, and she was badly burnt. One of the victims in the explosion in New Kingston.
Can you guess a little bit more what happened? Because I just saw the headline.
So yeah, so there was an explosion at Burger King in New Kingston, a gas explosion. Certainly one person and her family member, I think she articulated herself really well in terms of trying to advocate. Jamaica has, as they're saying, no burn unit. The conversation is that there is one on the 22th wing, but from my knowledge is that every time somebody's badly burnt, they're shipped to at least Jackson Memorial Hospital at a minimum. You airlift them to Jackson to get the type of treatment that is needed, and they're using the red tape. So the daughter of the franchise, which she looks really nice. Andre put up her picture. Trust me, she's a beautiful woman. But notwithstanding being beautiful, she's about her business, and she's saying that the doctors need to send a report and whatever, and funds won't be released until that. But when it comes to burn victims, you can't treat it like what happened at Sansa's, where you're the red tape about you need the money and we need to do this. We need to I guess I'm basically advocating for intervention, support that can get the young lady the treatment that she needs, because trust me, we get burned up one time and it hot on top of hot. And not only that, when it comes to recovery of the skin and stuff like that, it's not good when you have to delay it.
Right.
Yesterday, Andre was addressing it on Partner Draw TV, but the angle, no criticism here, but the angle, it was not really forensic enough. So I kind of dismiss it because there are too many moving pieces. For instance, as you can appreciate, Mr. Rattigan, occupiers liability, employment liability, and what comes with it. And usually when these things happen, you want to put the victim in a position as best as close to what they were before, which includes the best treatment possible. And when it comes to burn and stuff like that, the scarring and the rehabilitation and all of that, whatever it is, then that would be the thing. Shanna Smith, I hope you don't keep hope alive, yeah? No, why you don't move it? No, you shouldn't move it. I wanted to address Shanna Smith. Oh man, that's Rattigan saving me. But anyway,
he didn't do it. He didn't do it.
You did it, Kevin.
I didn't do it.
Somebody did it, but boy, Shanna, anyway you did on the world, Shanna, you're lucky because you was going to get it a while ago. But anyway, so advocating for seriously advocating that the young lady get some treatment and some help. Very serious about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was she the only one that received, her injuries were that severe?
Yeah, so you see, I can only go off of what was reported, but she apparently, I didn't hear if anybody died, but she's the one highlighted now. And as I said, her family member really advocated for her. And so I'm just saying that notwithstanding the advocacy, there's a lot of red tape that goes on. For instance, after burial, some power line was down and must have burned some people, and the young man in St. Elizabeth thereabout was some electrocution went on. JPS told them to contact a lawyer and this, and the treatment was not forthcoming and the man died. So when it comes to treatment, one is to think about preservation of life, which is a statutory duty that people have in the medical profession and stuff like that. It's better to treat and care and then worry about expenses after. I may be living in a utopian thought process, but we do understand, especially when our healthcare system is really tattered. If the real truth about it is, when it comes to insurance, most people don't have it. But also, if you follow what the United States did in terms of travel advisory, said don't go there and get insurance because they don't have the facilities. It is the truth, and it shows up every day. So what I can say, we really have to go back to a place where I've seen persons in the social space donate to cause that is not as serious. And so we have to, from a humanitarian place, kind of assist as best as we can with an urgency. And I mean, the government of the day is supposed to be doing that. So life is so funny, you know, because I had the opportunity just this year, and I always said, God on time, God don't come in and send. I had the opportunity to meet Ralph Gonzalez, which is the world boss of St. Vincent, and what he does for his people and the type of medical treatment that is available, and the type of relationship that the OECS, the Eastern Caribbean states, have is one to watch and try to mirror, because we need to be in a place where we are in a position to help people, and this is, it's not just a money thing, because a lot of times, even when you have insurance, when sickness take you or natural disasters or accidents happen, you race course Klarna. Thank you for that, Myrna Miller. Just the information, we have to be able to do that, and it's not the first time somebody got badly burned, and we don't have the facilities. And given what's happening in the space in terms of when you're doing improvements to a nation, so you fix the roads and all of that, and when you have bigger roads, what happens is people start to drive fast and careless, and then people in accidents. And did we equip with the fire company with the jaws of life and all of these things to help to assist to get people, so to get the assistance. People need assistance to preserve life. That is just where I am. But our healthcare system is bad. As you said, the health minister himself had to be driven to the hospital by the man that licked him down. And likewise, when people are injured, is always the good Samaritan. If you don't have a problem getting your back seat or your car bloodied or whatever, people are naturally going to die, and that's a problem.
I said, let me ask you a question. I don't
Sure.
know if you know, but I'll ask him because you're on the ground. In the chat, and they're saying that they don't have a burn unit.
That's what. Oh, you wasn't listening to me. That's what I'm saying. We don't have that.
Yeah, no. What the question I'm asking is, since we have a burn unit, if somebody sustains
third-degree burns are up,
what do they do? What's the procedure? What's the Jamaican government's policy?
No, so you go to the university hospital, and I know that the Tony Twaits wing, which is the real private wing of the university hospital, they have the best possible treatment that you can get for that type of injuries. But as persons have been totally burnt, and you'd usually have to be medvac to Florida. So we know that even if there is a burn unit, it's not adequate. And because of that, you have to be telling people, don't get burned, don't get hurt, don't get sick. The alternative to preservation of life in the Jamaican space is not to get sick. And this is not a reflection of the competence of the medical people, a lot of them whom are trained at the University of the West Indies. Let me make that clear. And I'm going back, and I'm not attacking Indicom. There are competent people of Indicom without the resources. So a doctor without his tools can't do nothing for you. So we are at the position where even with the greatest of skill, we don't have the technology and we don't have the facilities. And you don't even want to pay they don't even want to pay the nurses and the doctors what they are supposed to think. And then you get what you pay for. Even if you're paying them, they don't have the facilities. They're more interested in talking about, I build police station and now pay the police. We'll fix road and now do proper infrastructure in terms of when you improve one thing, it goes to the next. So it's not a yesterday problem. It's not something that can fix tomorrow. But I'm saying in terms of advocating for the young lady. And maybe my plea to the diaspora is that this is something that you guys might want to look into and see how you guys can rally the support to get her to leave this island to get the assistance that she needs. She's
But
buried.
it's
Huh?
easy. It's easy, but I don't know why it's not. Why it's not done. I don't know why it's overlooked. I don't know. Maybe there's a disruption in the relationship, but I know that the regional medical officer at the embassy, the RMO, right? He or she, they usually get involved with things like this, and they have, granted, it's not a U.S. citizen, but they have some humanitarian aid money set aside. They can find that and can actually medevac the person to the closest hospital where he can receive the treatment. So I don't know why is it that the Minister of Health, or at least we haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything from him.
No, so one of the reasons why I advocate is because when you show it up there, I do it with the hopes that they'll intervene, because it's embarrassing. And I can tell you what one of the things that I really dislike about a reactive government, and this is a genuine criticism, is if it was, and this is what I'm sad about. You see, if it was a ghetto youth where did I argue with him girlfriend, yeah, and the worst if him did come from one of the garrisons, them where that is from the opposition side, and they did show acid on the girl and she burn up, they would say the Jamaican man them wicked and violence against women and whatever, and the Prime Minister would say, I'm going to call a state of emergency because we're burning up the women and I'm going to lock them down and kill them and shoot them, and then we're going to send her over to Florida because she's a child of Jamaica. But when it's rich people who you get yourself hurt in them establishment, oh, the red tape, and they had the sign, and you need a doctor, and we're ready to facilitate, provided that the doctor gives us the go ahead, and there is delay, and nobody says anything. So I'm always cognizant that there are two Jamaicas existing, and so while we're having these things in the space, when you ask me what I expect to hear tomorrow, I expect the opposition leader to respond to situations like this. I expect that these are not things that we have to we have to politicize, but that these things are automatic. I expect that when we have a vision for a better Jamaica, is that when it comes to health care and education, we are to be marching along to ensure that these things are accessible to the people who can't afford it.
Right. Hey, let me interrupt today and bring on Mark Malacca.
Very well.
Say who he is, but in the meantime, while I bring on Mark, hang with me for a second. Let me just, I'm a producer, he's gonna kill me because I was supposed to do this from the beginning. Reason with Rattigan, right? We're supposed to do the slides, and there it is. These are the things we were supposed to talk to. The musical feature, the DPP status, ATI filings, we did that. New school year, same old problems, we didn't do that. The politics and compromise of port airport security, didn't do that. We did the death attributed to the absence of ambulance at the airport. We did the IC submitted reports to Parliament. Another big story we didn't do, the relationship between Minister Clarke, the IMF, and the Jamaican government. And we did talk about the Integrity Commission. And there you go, Will the Rebel Rattigan, I sat Mr. KFC Buchanan, and Kevin, where you there, Stuart. And then we did the engagement norms. This is one that we didn't do, the politics and compromise of port airport security, displacement of workers, Chinese influence, training, possible corruption. Folks, I'm telling you, I'm gonna do this next week because this is gonna take some time. Come next week with your paper and your pen and take some notes, because you're gonna be shocked when you hear about the things going on regarding the ports and airports. And I'm also I've been promising you this document. I have a document that the Jamaican government does not want you to see, because it's going to show that the normal course of business was not followed. And then the question is, why? And then we're going to show you some possible answers to the why. So stay tuned for that. We're coming with that next week. And in fact, I think I'll make it the first story so we get it out of the way. We did this one, the ambulance, the IC report. We did this one, but there's a little bit more that we didn't go into.
In part.
In part, yeah. And then the relationship between Minister Clarke, the IMF, and the Jamaican government. Folks, we're going to have to sit down next week and bring on a paper, tell on the family, friends, neighbors, and come watch this, because next week, what we are going to do, we're going to talk about, we're going to do a comprehensive look at Minister Nigel Clarke's situation with the IMF and with the government. We're going to show the purpose of the IMF. We're going to educate our people, because a lot of people, I remember when I was growing up in Jamaica in the 70s, and we had problems with the IMF, and people used to say IMF means it's Manley's fault. I remember those days. Now it means something else. And what we're going to do, we're going to show the purpose of the IMF. We're going to show the structure of it. We're going to show what was Minister Clarke's position at the IMF. We're going to talk about did he act in accordance with their policies. We're going to talk about who proposed this candidacy and also who nominated him, because the two things happened there. Somebody proposed and somebody nominated, but they didn't tell you about the proposal. They told you about the nomination, and them say it was the IMF who nominated him. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, I have to go back to his position at the IMF. Minister Clarke's affiliation with the IMF goes back years, and we're going to show you. We're going to show you from IMF documents. We're going to show you where he was and his role while serving as the Minister of Finance and Public Service. Was the government of Jamaica aware of his nomination and departure? Yes, and we're going to show you how much time is afforded for a successful nominee to report for duty. Normally in a job like this, it's about 90 days minimum. And here we got 30 days notice. We're going to have to explore that. Why? And what is the financial shape that Minister Clarke is leaving Jamaica in? You cannot miss this segment. And particularly that last bullet, because you're going to find out that the picture that's been painted about the Jamaican economy is not as rosy as presented. So, and then we have some stuff with the Integrity Commission that we have to look at. All right, for Brother Mark here, who's patiently waiting, here's how we want to introduce him with this African proverb. If you think education is expensive, and it is in Jamaica, it is, try ignorance. Remember that, people. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Without further ado, Mr. Mark Malabva. Sir.
Hi, good evening, Sir Rattigan. Good evening, Mr. Stewart. Good evening, Isaac.
Blessing.
Thanks for having me.
Blessings.
Well, sir, thank you. Available. Come on the show. Into our people what's going on. What I'd like for you to do is, would you be kind enough to kind of like introduce yourself to the audience and to us?
Well, my name is Mark Malava. I'm currently the principal of the Yalasai School. I am also JTA President-elect for this year. Will formally become JTA President next year. I've had close to 20 years experience in the education system. Started out as a classroom teacher, and I am now where I am.
Okay. Now, do you mind if I call you Mark, or you want me to call you Mr. Malava?
Man, Mark, good man. How are yourself, man?
Well, okay, we do first name Rona say no. And by the way, we do Monica's Rona so too. We do nickname Rona so. So for example, he's known as Mr. KFC. Kevin is known as Kevin Where You're There, and I'm known as the Rebel. So
Okay.
I sat Kevin Will. So well, school has been open now 2 weeks, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Give us your assessment of the first 2 weeks of school.
Well, generally speaking, it's touch and go for some of the schools. What you're finding happening now, which would have kicked in more this week than last week coming into this week, is where the teaching and learning exercise will officially begin. In between September 2nd, 3rd, that week you'll find a lot of schools would have been doing orientation, getting their house in order, as they make the transition into teaching and learning, which should have started this week really, this week. So that is what you would have found. A lot of schools would have phased in the students in terms of coming in. So they take a staggered approach in terms of letting the students come in, especially at the high school level, as they try to settle them before they move on to the other grade and settle those grades. A lot of housekeeping matters would have been treated with during that period. So it's the usual typical run-of-the-mill sort of approach that many principals, many administrators would take as we start the new academic year.
All right. Let me just open it up to the panel. Kevin, Haisat.
Welcome officially, Mark.
Yes,
Now,
Mr.
they I remember, my days going back to school, I didn't even think about there being an issue with teachers not being available at your school. How are you managing in these early weeks?
Well, as it is now, I am out. A total of 5 teachers. It's a struggle, really. It's challenging times for us. We are looking to see how best we can fill those vacancies. We have done several advertisements, both in the printed media and in the virtual space. There really have not been much take up with those outstanding posts that are there, and the reality is, from where I sit as principal, some hard-nosed decisions will have to be made going forward. Yeah, invariably, you're going to have to add additional sessions to teachers' timetable. Invariably, that is going to eventually lead to teacher burnout, and invariably, it may eventually lead to teacher absenteeism. It's a cascading effect that is happening. And it's something that I'm very mindful of. I mean, whilst I will have dialogue and discussions with the teachers about what is happening, they know what is happening. I have one department that is out 3 teachers, and for every teacher that is out, on any given day, at least 200 students are affected.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of do the math to see that one teacher's absence would affect so many students.
Yeah.
For those who are in an American school system, it's kind of hard to understand how that would be. Do you find that you yourself have to be in the classroom?
Yeah. I have had to step into the classroom. Just this week, I had to step in because we employed a teacher, and by the end of last week, that teacher resigned. Teacher has moved on to another entity. That creates a void, and because my background is in that area, I had to step in and engage the class. So it's something that is happening on the ground, and you just have to treat with it as it comes along. What it does for me is that it takes away from my core function, really, as instructional leader, to do a lot of supervision, to step inside the classroom to see what the teachers are doing to improve quality. So what you're finding is that I am not driving quality right now. You find that I am more into, trying to just hold the fort.
Haisat.
So I have like 20 million questions, so but I know Ratty's gonna shut me down. Your double role, as you said, you're the elected president for the JTA.
Yeah.
So my first question to you is what you hope to achieve because there's always a breakdown. I think, notwithstanding who gets your post, you're not respected by the government enough to implement the change, and that is increase of teachers' salaries. But that's the first thing I want to ask: what you hope to achieve in terms of for your tenure?
Well, the interesting thing about the JTA is that based on how the leadership structure is set up, it's supposed to facilitate continuity. This year is a negotiation year, and chances are it may go over into my year as well. That's usually what happens. So for me, where I am at now, and there is definitely a need from a union perspective to ensure that we place the teacher at the center of everything that we do, and negotiate for what is often termed a livable wage for our teachers. I mean, there are different nuances as to what that looks like. Interestingly enough, the government commissioned a report that was known as the Erstanian report. That report looked at the restructuring of the public sector. That report, for example, placed the classroom teacher at a certain band 6. But the teachers are currently now on band 4. We are going to have to see how best we can, through negotiations, see how best we can get the teachers better aligned with that report. There are different nuances in that report. So it's a complex report, but we believe it can be simplified and in order to ensure that the teachers get the best deal possible.
Okay.
And tying that in eyes that with, of course, I did indicate that there is Dr. Smith is currently the president. So it's really, he's the one that is heading it at this point in time. So right now we'll be going through a process as to what it is that we will put on our list of claims, and what it is that we will submit to the government, and then negotiations take place from there.
Okay. The next question I was going to ask you, because you said you stepped into the classroom, but you never said what subject it was. Is the math department one of those areas that's lacking in teachers?
Interestingly enough, no. My maths department this year, interestingly enough, I'm not short in the maths department. I am short significantly in the science department.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. The STEM areas are the areas that tend to give that tend to be
difficult to fill.
Yeah. I am relieved actually that I'm not short of maths teachers this year, because last year was challenging, and the year before that was even more challenging.
Okay.
For maths.
I didn't hear your subject area.
Social studies and history.
Would that be Caribbean history, American history, European history?
Well, I studied African history at UWI. Of course, Caribbean history would have been a part of your core courses at UWI. So yeah, it would be at the CSEC level, but that class in particular would have been social studies at the CSEC level.
Let me ask this though: is civics a part of that history curriculum?
Yes, civic is a part of the curriculum offerings in many schools. Yeah.
Nice.
Let me ask you a question having to do with the government. I'll just make it broad. And this includes resources of all sorts. Do you, as you sit here tonight, can you say with any confidence that the government of Jamaica, and I say the government because we're focused on the government, because the opposition is essentially powerless in the constitutional monarchy type of system. It's not the Republican system that we have in America, where you have different parties running different branches of the government.
Mhm.
As you sit here, can you say that the government has been? No, let me ask it another way. Has the government been helpful to your cause? Education.
Well, put it this way: there is much room for improvement. There are a lot of things that needs to be done. There are a lot of things that needs to be treated with a sense of urgency. There is what is known as the Orlando Patterson Report that is supposed to be driving helping to drive the transformation trend, so to speak. Um, and we are nowhere near where we need to be as a country with respect to the education system. There are many different nuances that are at play. There are many different issues that are at play. And there is yet to be a full appreciation of the realities on the ground within the education system. And I've said it many a times that many a war have been lost because the generals are not listening to the ground commanders. Yeah. And I mean, history is littered with examples with that. And the truth is, there's going to be a need to really just step back and treat with the issues of education, because we operate on a two-tiered education system, the haves and have nots. Yeah, we operate on what is termed I term as an apartheid education system. And until we treat with that from a resource perspective, it is always going to be what it is, because invariably upgraded high schools get far less resources than, let's say, traditional high schools, for example. And there are different things that cause that. There are some schools that have strong alumni. There are some schools that private sector gravitates to, and there are some schools in which the parents place a high premium on education and are willing to make whatever contribution that there is to those schools. So there are some schools that have access to more resources than other schools, because when you look at upgraded high schools, only perhaps about 20% of our parents are contributing school fees, for example, and that's in addition to what the government sends. So you do have challenges in that regard, and until we treat with those things, guys, we're not going anywhere.
Well, you know what? It's funny you mentioned parents, because it's a nice segue to the second question I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
That question is this. And this is just based on my personal observation. Maybe right, maybe wrong. But we tend to focus on ministry, the minister, students. I don't think we pay enough attention to teachers beyond the salary issue the other day. I don't think that there is a laser focus on what do we need to how do we equip teachers then to effectively and efficiently deliver the training curriculum to students. I don't think we pay enough about their own personal situation. We don't. That's my opinion. But the second piece is this. I don't think we pay enough attention to parents. And the question I have to ask you is, what outreach have you done then to ensure that parents are involved in the education of their children?
Well, on a personal level, it is something that I have been pushing at my institution. For example, we are now in the process of, during meetings, during orientation week, I have been speaking to parents, and I've said to parents, hey, this is where we're going to go. For every time you visit the school, your child is going to get a mark on his end of term exam, end of year exam. So we are asking that you visit the school no less than 2 times. And this is outside the times that we may send for you for any issue whatsoever. So these are unannounced visits. Yeah. And we have been at pains to say to them, it's important that you're involved in the life of the child, in the school life of your child. because children whose parents are involved in their school life, those students tend to do far better in school than those whose parents are not involved in their school life. So we have started that process because I recognize that there are concerns. From my guidance and counseling department, I've run multiple parent seminars with parents, seeking to empower them as to how they treat with students at home and what their responsibilities are.
Is that required, or is that your initiative?
It's not required. These are initiatives that the school would have been pushing. There has been support from the Ministry of Education in terms of providing some funding, but it's largely driven by the school.
All right, Isaac.
I know, and people always accuse me of living in La La Land, but I just need to ask you, if you want to use your school as a model, what do you think as it is right now? And I don't want you to shy away from it. I'm not going to ask you any political affiliations. I'm talking about the teachers right now. I think teachers are the bedrock of any society, because education is a great divider. What do you think is the benchmark? And I'm not talking about basic living, that teachers ought to be paid.
Ought to be paid?
Yeah, man. Okay, yeah. Your genuine belief.
All right. So here's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
You have a car, Isaac. You take that car to do an evaluation.
Yeah.
Based on the evaluation report, the report says this is the value of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what the Ernst & Young report is.
Right.
That report said that the classroom teacher is valued at a certain point, $4.2 million. The classroom, right. Yeah. And this is the very same report that the government used to pay themselves the 300% increase or justify.
Right.
300% increase. But the teachers were not treated in accordance with that report. From where I sit, and this has been one of the platforms that I've campaigned on during when I was campaigning for JTA presidency, that based on that report must be used as the base mark, the point of departure in any negotiation, because that is what the teachers were valid at. This was a report that the government commissioned, that the government utilized to justify the payment for themselves, that they utilized to justify the payment for various public sector workers. But the classroom teachers were not treated in accordance with that report in the way that they should.
So I'm here, you're saying $4.2 million a year is the benchmark?
That should be the minimum.
As in the starting point?
Yeah.
And then, okay. All right. And now, in light of that, where are they? I'm asking for public education. So I want to know how far they are from the deficit.
3 million.
They're at 3 million. So
yeah, but you have to remember that the sector is kind of stratified. So based on your qualification, trained graduates, which accounts for the bulk of the teachers, 15,300 and something teachers, they are at 3 million at a starting point. There are others below.
But they are doing the same work.
Yeah, they're doing the same work.
All right, so I'm hearing 4 million. That's the target. That's all I wanted to hear. Mm-hmm. And following the to borrow from the words of the newly minted doctor, you get what you pay for. Do you think that salary accounts for, I'm not even going to say the brain drain, but the lack of motivation?
Yeah, salaries account for the brain drain. All right, put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs: food, clothing,
basic, right.
Yeah, and if you apply that theory, then if a teacher's basic needs are not met, then you cannot expect the teacher to be operating at an optimal level of performance in terms of their productivity level.
Yeah.
And it's just the reality. Yeah, you have to ensure that these teachers are properly equipped to teach and well off enough to teach. There is no democratic society that has a world-class education system
Mm-hmm.
that does not pay their teachers a salary that will attract and retain the best and brightest minds that the country has to offer. As a matter of fact, in all this talk about transformation of education, the salaries of teachers is a prerequisite for transformation. It's a necessary prerequisite, because that is the way you attract quality teachers to the system.
I'm hearing you loud and clear, you know, so this is the most attentive I've been all day.
Yeah.
On your show.
Yeah.
So because you wake me up now. I'm gonna ask you this, and this is a genuine question. You said you are the elect, so you're not sitting in the seat as yet. What is it that certainly the diaspora, the nation at large, can do to give you? Cause you're gonna need enough backative, you know.
Yeah, man.
Me see them white, Mr. Speed, like them treat him like a rag doll. Me see the beautiful lady that had it just the other day, boy, them do her bad. I know how they treat you guys when you sit in the seat, and I've always said to myself that when it comes to rationality, although you're back broad, you're carrying, you know, you are the principal and you have to do for school, but you're also representing a nation of teachers that need to be respected. What are the tools that you need to give you the footing to, I don't use the word demand, the strength necessary to respect the industry in a way that government understands, especially going into, I think you have it for the election year, going into the election year, that mandates them not as a promise, but to as an obligation, because this nation cannot change. And I'm not talking Vision 30, but to make sure that you are memorable as one of the JTA people that did put a dent into the system.
Yeah, I think from where we sit, the diaspora tend to have tremendous influence, and the diaspora certainly needs to help to push our cause. One of the things that I am thinking of is meeting with the different diaspora member group to speak to them about what our concerns are, what our plight is, so that they will get an intimate understanding of what the issues are, and they can lend their voice to our cause. I also intend, Isaac, to reach out to various groups, the PSOJ, for example. Want to meet with them, want to have discussions with them, because, in all honesty, they tend to be the most powerful organization in Jamaica. Government listen to, they can sway public perception, and they have money, that they can leverage. We have to sit with them and let them understand what our cause is about, because in the essence of it is that our output as an education system is one of their key inputs in whatever they are producing.
Right.
Yeah. So it's important that they understand what is happening in the education system and the importance of paying our teachers a salary that will cause them to at least consider or reconsider staying in Jamaica. Because I can tell you guys that it's our most qualified teachers that are leaving the system, and most productive teachers who are in their prime in terms of performance, or premium teachers. Most of those are the ones that are mostly leaving. There are many that are remaining behind. But from a principal's perspective, a teacher coming out of teachers' college, not where they ought to be. You mentor them, you send them to professional development workshops, you have professional development workshops with them, you train them, and this takes about 3 to 4 years, 5 years to train them to be operating at an optimal level. And they literally just lift up with that and leave and go into another space. Yeah. And everything that you've trained them to do, they are doing it, and they are getting very good salary for that. Yeah. And then you're left holding the bag now, because you're also you have to also train teachers. And what I can also tell you, that the pool is getting less and less. less teachers are going to teachers' college. So the pool is less.
I know Mr. Rattigan going to come in, but I got to tell you this. I know that I hope they're not hearing me, but I hear you said something about the PSOJ, but let me tell you something, man. You see the barrel sending people, them have money. It's them run all of the alumni. And then when you pull on them heartstring and them passionate about the schools, some of them love Meadowbrook and some of them love KC and Campion and these things, and them hype about them schools. So I think the support that you need to have the conversations. And I know a guy, him is a lawyer and him have a program every Saturday. If you are getting to good conversations with them, they are there. And I just think that I'm never wrong on these things. But I hear you speak, and I believe that you're gonna make the type of change and have an impact that is necessary for your people. And your people is our people, because if you're not educating, it's difficult to put things in context. But don't tell them I said so, because my name no carry no clout. But those the barrel sending people have money. That's my contribution.
Mark,
Let me
go ahead.
You muted, Mark.
I tell you something, Isaac. The solution to Jamaica's problem is education. Yeah, and every country, whether it be Singapore, whether it be Finland, whether it be Denmark, any of those countries who are now first world countries, they will tell you that they invested heavily in education for them to be where they are, and we keep missing the mark. I mean, you have a GDP problem, education. You have a productivity problem, education. Whatever it is, you have a health crisis problem, education. Whatever it is, education is a crime problem, education. Education is that silver bullet, magic wand to really put Jamaica where it ought to be, where Vision 2030 would be finally realized.
Let me ask you this in relation to that, Mark. What is currently the graduation rate at your school? One.
Well,
Wait,
before
you answer that,
mm-hmm.
What is it? What is it? Is it where you want it to be?
Okay.
And thirdly, what is it projected to be with your absence of teachers? No.
Well, our graduation rate is based on the students that have reached the end of their years in school. Yeah. I suspect you're more talking about the quality of the graduates who are leaving based on CSEC passes, that sort of thing. And I want to look at it from a system-wide perspective before I even go there. I'm sure you would be aware that there's a sharp decline in maths passes nationally.
Yes.
That is coinciding with the fact that a lot of our STEM teachers are leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a direct correlation between those two variables. With respect to that, if we do not curtail the issue of teacher migration, I take a very strategic approach to treating with the issue of teacher migration, we are going to be hemorrhaging as a system later on. Yeah, and from where I sit, I don't believe that our government, I think they are tone deaf to the issue of teacher migration and treating with it in a very strategic way. And if eventually, and I think it has started already, certainly there needs to be some amount of research, but eventually the teacher quality falls eventually, and student performance falls, which will manifest itself in exit exams and the passes at exit exams.
Understood. But go ahead and bring it home to your.
Guys, just give me 1 second. Let me just change positions so I can just plug in my computer. It's draining.
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second.
All right, not a problem. While Mark is doing that, Rebel, I just sent you. I don't know if you saw the message. I just took a picture of it and sent it to you. Since it was addressed to you, and it seemed like you're doing something else at the time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's getting situated so that he can plug in. Although we're just about ready to wrap up.
You hear?
Yes, we're here.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, man, I can't hear.
Okay.
Right. Mark, we only have a few minutes left. I will be invited to return because this subject cannot be in the short period of time. So I trust that continue to have some time as we can have you. Oops, I'm gone.
Yeah, look like
Feel
where
bad.
he went into, he lost connection.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, man, you hear me?
Yeah. All right, Mark. All right. We don't have much time, and like I was saying to you, before that love to have you back issues because this is a significant issue, but not only for Jamaicans living in Jamaica, but for by extension the diaspora. We're very concerned about the brain drain. We're very concerned about the quality of education. We're very concerned about the passage rate. We're very concerned about jobs, about the whole spectrum of Jamaica, living in Jamaica. Let me ask you this, because we don't have much time, and we have to go run. But let me ask you, you mentioned a while ago that you said the solution to any country's problem is education. And you said, we keep missing the mark. So this lady in the chat, and she's saying that she's getting the same salary as new people. That's one. Then we talk about patriotism. And we talk about importing teachers. Then if you recall, the Prime Minister said that the purpose of the pay raise was to, I think it was the Minister of Education, no, sorry, Minister of Finance, was to attract the best and brightest to government. Did that apply to teachers as well? Was the 20% meant to attract the best and the brightest? I don't think so. Also, the Minister of Finance, he demonstrated this week or last week by the announcement that if pastures are greener, then go, because he certainly is being paid handsomely in Jamaica. I mean, he could and he can afford to live a decent lifestyle in Jamaica, but he's moving on to bigger and better things. I just one of our supporters in the chat just sent me vacancy our postings last week where 39 primary schools are in need of principals. 39. The advertisements, I just counted them. Well, going back to your central theme, that the solution to any country is and that we keep missing. How do we hit the with everything that's going on? It looks hopeless. What's your take on that?
Well, I can understand the sense of hopelessness, but you see, all my life, I know nothing else about education. My mother was an educator. Most of the person, I'm from a line of educators. There is a need for leadership within the education system. there is a need for the country to coalesce around this project called education. And quite frankly, that leadership has to come from the highest level. It can't be that you want to pay politicians this big whack of money to attract them into the politics, but you don't want to pay teachers a salary that will cause them to want to stay in the profession. The truth is, and I always say, teachers not looking for to become millionaires. It's not like they want to drive Benz and Beamers and park that up in school. They don't even want RAV4s or CRVs. You know, but oh God, man, they must can afford an Axie or a Moms or something. Yeah. I mean, things like affordable housing solution. We don't have a problem with access to housing solution. We have a problem with access to affordable housing solutions. Yeah, and that is also an issue. These are things that we have to put on the table. We have to negotiate with the government, but the government should be willing to say to us, how can we cause our teachers to want to stay? Yeah. And the truth is that dialogue has not started as yet.
Mark, let me ask you, let me put you on the spot. Are you available to come back? Because it's important to bring up people.
Yeah, man, just reach out to me.
Okay. All right. Well, let me just ask, because we all have to give any final words for Mark.
No, I just want him to, when he comes next week, to just go ahead and address that question that I had asked about his school.
Okay.
All right, no problem.
Yeah.
No, I just believe that Mark is going to be the engine of change, and I'll be here next week to ensure that the barrel people act right. Because the only thing I like send is KFC, and we're not depend on that. We're trying to educate a nation, and also I believe that any organization that has a strong leader that will listen, they will rally together, and I think the teachers need the respect and the salaries to go for it. I certainly envision the teachers wanting to be teachers and schools saying, we just don't have the space for you to get a $500,000, a 500 million salary. Sorry, apply next year. And then they won't be trying to leave because the position will be one of respect. We need to get back there, because I certainly know that education in Jamaica, I wouldn't be who I am without it. And I'm Jamaican grown. I wasn't educated anywhere else.
Let me just say, Mark, that the situation is bleak and hopeless when you analyze it, when you listen to it. But listening to somebody like you, I'm hopeful about the situation in Jamaica, hopeful about the education system in Jamaica, and I'm say it without any reservation, I'm proud of what you're doing, because I hear and I feel the passion, and I'm just looking forward to your leadership at the JTA. I think you'll make significant changes there, and we look forward to having you next week. So until then, take care of yourself, be well. All right. All right, everyone. Tuning tonight, midnight. Relax with the Rebel. Kevin is out and about. Isaac look like him ready for a 6-piece. So
conference tomorrow, people. Conference tomorrow. How always say, well, big up Marky G. Yeah, from one month to start to a Mark, we're gonna make some change. We'll make sure Marky G hear what Mark just say. Where Marky M just say, we'll make sure Marky G doing for this. So tomorrow is conference.
Promise me this. Promise me this.
What's that?
Should the opposition take over the reins of power?
When? Fix that. When?
When?
Yeah, yes. When the opposition take over power, what should I do?
That you will still be holding government accountable.
Of course.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I want the whole government so accountable to the point that I know that
even if you're a part of it. Even if you're a part of it.
If I'm a part of it, if they are not held accountable, I cannot in good conscience remain a part of something that is that doesn't serve the people.
if you're called to service and you leave us, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, you'll return.
Of course.
Okay.
Unquestionable. I don't want to be anywhere that is not for the people.
See, people
And
Rattigan, when, not if. You know, let me say if they should they take over the reign of power. You make people that kill me now and say correction, Rattigan. It's when.
It's when, but I corrected you instantly, so we know it's gonna happen. So I'm speaking to let you know that when it happens, the promises that made will be kept, because it's not a 3-card man thing. And we don't want nobody I do no doctorate while country are run. We're cut out that.
I agree. I agree with it.
Except those who are aspiring to take over your positions.
What can I say? That was a low blow, Kevin. Kevin, we know where you live in us. You be nice, you know.
They don't mean that.
Stew peas and rice, you know. Pressure cooker business, you know.
Right, look, that's it for today's program. Today's edition of Reason with Rattigan. Tonight, come and relax with the Red Black midnight on Reggae Global Radio. And here I sat invite everybody to come to the conference tomorrow.
Yes, so, to miss is to this.
There you go. All right, folks.
We have to press the button.
Blessings.
Press it on.